VIDEOTECH.
Welcome, everyone, to a special halfway to Halloween episode. This is episode 9 of Return to Videotech. I'm Keith, and with me, as always, is my buddy Matt. How's it going, dude?
Good, man. And we're not burying the lead. It's a surprise halfway to Halloween episode that wasn't the original plan.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely had something not Halloween-ish planned. Probably the farthest thing from Halloween type movies planned, but we decided to pivot.
Yeah. I mean,
And
we could talk about it a little bit. It's just that, we were going to do, I'll say we were going to do Up in the Air, which is a movie that I like. I think you originally threw it out as a option.
mhm.
But for me personally, it's like kind of a tough movie, even though I really like it. Um, it's about this time period around like 2009 where the economy collapsed, and I was definitely like very much entering the workforce at that time, and it was definitely a weird time period. I got my first job out of college, and we almost immediately went on like a furlough situation where I was working 4 days a week, made like no money, like just the most minimal amount of money that you possibly get. So I'd have 3 days off, but like no money to spend. It was just like the worst time period in my life. And while I like the movie very much, with just some other things going on, I was kind of like, man, I'm just not really feeling something that's a little bit more of a bummer. So you had posted like just a picture of some physical media. I don't know, it might have just been VHSs, but it was halfway to Halloween. And I was like, you know what? This is your shtick anyway. Like, what if it's halfway to Halloween? We should just do a halfway to Halloween episode.
Yeah, I think we kind of missed the boat on that already. It's a couple weeks past that point now, but
Well,
it's
but
okay.
that's on point for this show though too.
For me, I watch horror movies all year long anyways, so
And I think it kind of came to be by chance this way, but I do feel like the movies that we have picked for this episode is a good menu of more summary type horror movies
hmm
where it's like they don't have to be, because I feel like Halloween, The Exorcist, like there's definitely like a lot that are you have to watch them in October, or I feel like they're
hmm
best viewed in that
Yeah.
run up to the real Halloween. But these are like
Yeah.
daytime horror.
Yeah, not to
There's a
jump
lot.
the gun, but I just finished rewatching the one that I assigned you for homework,
Oh
which
yeah,
was Trick or Treat, which
yeah.
just got put out recently. We'll get to it. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this is like one of my favorite pieces of physical media I own. And yeah, this movie, it's funny because it like takes place on Halloween, but it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie at all until like the very end. And even then it's not very Halloweeny.
Well, we'll talk about it in the later segment of the show. But I did just want to say, because I think this will be a little bit of a recurring theme. I was expecting Trick or Treat to be like pretty crappy in terms of production quality, just
hmm
because when you look at like the advertisement picture of it, like that's a little bit what you
hmm
expect. And I've watched a lot of those movies. Like, don't take it the wrong way that I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. Like, I mean, a lot of like there's just a certain level of quality that you're used to for these B movies. But I thought the production quality of Trick or Treat was like pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't want to get too far ahead of
Yeah.
ourselves. We'll talk about that one at the end of the show.
All right. I got a
But
couple notes for you, Keith.
yeah, go for it.
First being, I just have to like point this out. This is one of these like it's a bit just for me, maybe Lindsay too, but like my outfit tonight is inspired by I caught a clip of um what's Sean Fantasy show? The Big Picture.
Yeah.
And he has a couple of the girls from the Ring Around, like Mallory Rubin and maybe Juliet Littman, and or I don't know, maybe they're normal hosts on the show, but I just saw a clip of it, and he's wearing like almost this exact outfit, like this like green type cardigan with a white and green striped shirt, and like I just like this shirt with this cardigan was like laid out on my bed as like a combo that I wear, and I was like I sent it to Lindsay, and I was just like, Why does Sean Fennessy dress like me? I don't like that.
Yeah, he got his style from you, dude.
I was like, between his wardrobe, I have his wardrobe and Chris Ryan's hairline, and I'm just like the unwatchable.
Yeah, I'm I'm a big fan of CR. He's my favorite dude to listen to out of that whole Ringerverse group.
Yeah, I mean, they can all be like a little stuffy and a little just like devoid of humor, even though they sometimes try a bit too much at it. But oh, look, overall, I'm a fan of what they do. Obviously, like, I mean, for me, it started a long time ago with Bill Simmons, and they've all been like Bill Simmons disciples for a long time. So, like, look, I'll goof on them at times, but ultimately, I'm a big fan of what they do. Although fantasy can come off as like just so like just unbearably pretentious at times.
Oh yeah, I can't think of the guy's name, but there's a critic that they bring on, and he is like very highbrow, very kind of stuffy. I
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
like talk shit because he is actually very intelligent, and like
Sure.
I like his takes on movies sometimes, but yeah, it can be a little off-putting sometimes. We try to find a middle ground on this podcast.
For sure.
I bring
Not
the
take
I bring the
ourselves.
dumb B movies, and you bring the highbrow stuff, so we meet in the middle.
Well, and look, I mean, I'm certainly not the smartest when it comes to this stuff. It's just fun to talk about, and
Hmm.
I did have another note for you though, Keith. Um, I received an email, and I was going to read it to you,
Okay.
and it's just addressed, "Return to Videotech, comma. Thank you for your interest and devotion to A&W sugar-free root beer. After careful consideration, we've decided to not pursue a sponsorship agreement. While we agree with Lindsay that Keith is very lovable, we at the sugar-free branch of A&W Root Beer find Matt's remarks regarding John Bernthal abhorrent, and his behavior on this topic is wholly inconsistent with our views on Bernthal as an actor. Thank you and have a good day."
That can't be real.
I ruined it for us, Keith. Look,
I was thinking for a second there that maybe as a joke you or Lindsay had actually wrote them and was like asking for a sponsorship.
they were just like Matt bashing on John Bernthal was just the end of days for any opportunity at a relationship here.
Well, anyways, I feel like we've bullshitted enough already about
Well,
not movies.
yeah.
Or do you have more notes?
No, no more notes. But yeah, I was actually gonna move on to. Did you
Okay.
see anything in the theater?
Yeah, sure, I'll start. So I went and saw Clown in a Cornfield. Have you seen or heard anything about this?
Not on my radar at all.
So it's a horror movie. It's based on a book. It's very Gen Z coded. There's lots of
Oh,
that type of humor and stuff. So like the first half of the movie, I wasn't really into it, but then it like there's kind of like a twist in the middle, and it gets really weird, and just really fun and like chaotic. So I actually really liked it.
wow.
I actually think that you might like it too. And
It
it
sounds
actually
fun.
gets pretty political, which sometimes can be annoying when it's like, the Gen Z type stuff, but I actually really like agree with the politics of the movie. So,
Sure.
um, yeah,
Wow. I mean, this is not on my radar at all. What was the title again?
it's called Clown in a Cornfield.
Which sounds fun.
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
it
it's
a
like,
horror movie or
yeah, it starts out
okay?
just kind of like as a slasher, and it kind of reminded me of Eli Roth's Thanksgiving
Oh,
in the
fun.
beginning of it,
Which I
because it
did
kind of
like.
just takes place in this like small town. You're following this doctor and his daughter who have moved out of the city to this like rural smaller town, and they're having this. It's kind of like a fall type festival thing. There's like a parade as part of it, and like there's even this like town mascot that's like a clown kind of thing going on. So it's like those things reminded me of Thanksgiving a little bit. You know how they have like the pilgrim
Yeah.
guy or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Um, but yeah, I had fun with it. I think you would like it actually.
It sounds
Somebody I
I
know,
did like Thanksgiving. Yeah.
yeah, it's the only similarities are really like what I just said though,
That's
like
enough.
how how it's a small town and there's like this mascot or whatever, but yeah, it gets really chaotic and really fun. probably like halfway through the movie, so I liked it.
Okay. Well, I am interested.
Yeah, yeah,
It sounds like a movie that I may own in the future.
yeah. I do I do have a couple pickups too, real quick,
Yeah.
before you go. Um, Most of these I actually haven't seen. They're all like blind buys, but like I went to my used place and I found this
Yeah, let's see it.
Thriller: A Cruel Picture,
Oh, wow.
which I've heard is Quentin Tarantino takes a lot of inspiration from this movie.
Sure. It looks like it from the cover. What year
Yeah.
is it from?
Um 1974.
For those of you not enjoying the visual element, there's a woman holding like or
Yeah, a
staring down
shotgun.
the sight of a shotgun with a patch over her eye, very reminiscent of one of the women characters from
Yeah.
Kill Bill.
It's from what I know, it's a grape revenge movie.
Oh, grape. Yes.
Yeah, grape. And
Oh,
then
very well. Well, we enjoy
I got a
certainly
stack of
revenge.
tapes here too to show you real quick.
Oh,
I'll burn
please,
through them
yeah.
real fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no.
So first up, Brain Damage.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I've never seen this.
This movie's awesome.
The cover's great.
Frank Henenlotter. Um, yeah, just a really goofy, fun movie. About like a parasite
Oh,
alien
love
type
it.
thing, I think. I don't know. Um, but then
What is
these
this?
three, I haven't seen any of them. But they look awesome. This is a Joe Bob Briggs
Oh,
presents Blood Feast.
oh, that's amazing.
I'm getting like really gnarly
What?
reflections off the
No, that's all right.
protective
I still
sleeve,
get a
but
good look. So Joe
it
Bob Briggs
looks
is like
cool.
on the cover.
Yeah, and then I got Blackula.
That's
I've never
classic.
seen this, but it looks cool. The cover is amazing.
It definitely
And it's
looks
actually,
amazing.
dude, on the back, it looks like the main dude is like getting down with a lady, but then it's
Okay.
rated PG.
Well, it was a different time. What year did
Yeah.
that come out?
What
Does it
year
have
did
the
this
year on
one
the
come
back
out?
yet?
72.
Oh, I was gonna guess 74. I don't know why.
No. And the last one here is, I believe Robert Englund directed this movie, 976 Evil.
I think I have heard of that.
Yeah. I've heard a
Well,
lot of people talk about this, and I've seen videos on it and stuff. I just haven't watched it ever, so I'm
oh,
excited to watch all of those.
well, certainly looks like you've got some fun in front of you. Were these online purchases, or where did you pick these up?
Um, Brain Damage I got off eBay, but the other ones I got at my local used video game store.
I did have like a couple of movie orders, but I will probably wait to reveal what they were and just bring them next time to the
Okay.
show because I did put a Diabolic DVD order in, and I was telling you via text that a couple of them had tariff surcharges, and I was like,
Oh
okay, now it's time to storm the Capitol. We have to pay tariff surcharges on movies. What is
yeah,
this
I was about to
absurdity?
put in. I wanted to pre-order the Lucio Fulci's Zombie
Oh
or
yeah,
Zombie 2.
right.
Arrow just announced it, and they have like a UK like specific cover that you can only get from the UK web store or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't pre-order it yet, but I was like wondering if that would happen with that because it's coming from the outside of the US.
Yeah, well, that's a fun one. So I'm excited for you to add
Yeah.
that to your collection. I don't have it, but I have seen it a handful of times. And there was something else that I wanted to bring up to you, but I can't remember what it was. So I'm gonna
Did you go to the
side.
movies? Did you go to the movies at all?
I did go to the movies, and I saw Sinners. Um,
Oh, nice.
yeah, and I did not see it in the IMAX, unfortunately.
I heard it
Um,
was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I will say, I found myself feeling a little bit like, I don't know if I'm quite like where all the hype is on it. I did like it, but I was like,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I'm quite there where everyone's like, completely over the moon about it. Um, there's a lot of endings, although I liked all of them. It's like one of those movies where it feels like the logical conclusion point is reached, but then there's like another thing. But it's like, oh, well, that was good too. Like I did like all the endings. There was a little bit of a stretch, I don't know, probably three-quarters of the way through where I was like starting to disengage a little bit. Um, you know what I kind of felt like, and maybe this is a dumb, easy comparison, but it sort of from Dusk Till Dawn esque.
I was gonna say I watched a video where the guy was he was saying it's basically the same thing. It's like two brothers
Yeah,
and they end
it,
up in this like place where they're playing music and stuff like
yeah, there is
yeah.
kind of a lot of crossover in that way, but also what was striking me is I don't know how you feel about From Dusk Till Dawn. I like it, but I kind of like all the stuff at the beginning, like all the exposition, like background story stuff, better than when it gets kicked into all of the,
Yeah.
fighting vampires or whatever. Um, and it's similar here. Like the first half hour of this movie, I was loving it. I'm like, I want to just spend more time with these characters in this world. But then, of course, something happens that sets off a chain of events, and now you're kind of on to what the story of the movie is
Mhm.
going to be. But I loved the build almost more than once you get into that stuff. But uh, the first couple reviews that I saw on Letterboxd though were people who had seen it a second time and were like, "Okay, I actually like this more the second time." So I kind of feel like it might be one of those movies
Yeah.
too. I gave it 4 stars, like as like my rapid reaction when I walked out of the theater. But I'm like, well, look, I could probably convince myself to a 4.5, and I kind of am already feeling like if I watch it a second time, I'll like it a little bit more. But it is really cool, and it actually does have a tie-in with, in my mind, Reanimator, because one of the things that I really feel about Reanimator is, yes, it's a horror movie, but the attention to detail and the amount of like work and just wanting to represent the movie well that goes into Reanimator. I feel like Sinners a lot like we want to make something of like really good quality here, and you can tell that there was a lot of work that went into it, and you can tell it's like well done, and everything um, has a fine tuning to it, and that's I think one of the reasons why it is getting such glowing reviews. But it's taking the part's like my mom called and she was like, "Oh yeah, I want to see Sinners, but is that a horror movie?" And Lindsay heard this conversation going on, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of consider it more of like a supernatural thriller or something.
Yeah.
But then Lindsay was like, after I got off the call, she was like, "Sinners is definitely a horror movie." I'm like, "Is it?" And she's like, "Yeah, look it up." And I like go to Wikipedia, and the first thing it says is like, "Sinners is a horror movie." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." It is weird because it's like there's nothing about it. There's not like a moment of scary, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't think, but that's okay. But then you can easily get back into this corner where it's like, well, is Chopping Mall scary? Is Reanimator scary? It's like, well, no, I guess not. So I
Dude,
I
that's
don't
what I
know.
was that was one thing I was thinking about as I was rewatching a bunch of these movies. I was like, I feel like 90% of horror movies are actually just comedies.
Yeah, that's true. It is
They
true, and
really just are. I mean,
yeah, especially obviously like the '80s campy ones, 100% are.
unless you're
But yeah,
like 10 years old, a lot of these are not going to scare you. Like,
right.
it's pretty rare for a horror movie to actually be scary for
I'll
me
tell you.
anymore.
Yeah, but even forget like scary, but even have the jump scare stuff because I would say like what's a good example? Like the first Halloween out of the new trilogy, like the
Hmm.
David Gordon Green, um,
Hmm.
Danny McBride ones, like because I think that those got progressively worse like pretty quick. But the first one I thought was like okay,
Hmm.
but like you wouldn't say it's scary, but there's like jump scares.
Yeah.
Like it's a horror movie where there's moments where you're in the theater where you're like,
Yeah.
whoa,
It's
whoa, or
taking
like
itself seriously. Like, it's
right.
trying to be scary for like 13-year-olds.
Yeah, right. But I would say like sitting down and watching Sinners in the theater, there wasn't even a moment of like, and I scare pretty easily. Like there's moments
Yeah.
where I'm just like I'll look away or like whatever, but there's not even
Yeah.
a moment of that.
I've heard the vampires are just kind of like an afterthought. They're more of like an allegory for like the
Sure.
white man stealing black people's culture and stuff, right? That's what I've heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean that seems to be the um glaring metaphor going on there. And but they're kind of goofy too. The vampires are like these kind of folk singing hicks. So it's like
Yeah.
they're kind of laughable.
I've seen some memes that are pretty funny about it.
Yeah. And there is a
Speaking
lot
of
of
that, though,
comedy in
because
it.
I haven't seen the movie and I don't have much else to talk about it, did you see the memes about Josh Allen talking about because he's engaged to the
Yeah.
lead actress?
Haley Steinfeld, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently there's like a gnarly sex scene in the movie.
Well, people said that. I got to tell you, I mean, I thought most of the things with her were pretty tame. Like she
Oh,
had
really?
some, like, if anything, there's like a part or two where she has some more crass language in terms of
Oh,
sexuality. But I was like, because there was that build leading up to it on the internet, and I was like,
yeah.
really? Like, this is, I thought it quite tame. I did
Okay,
not
I
think,
won't
I did
mention
not think it was an
the
intense
thing that
sex
I
scene or
heard
anything.
and saw pictures of looked pretty wild.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
was there like spitting in someone else's mouth
I
involved?
guess there was a little spitting. Yeah, there was some
You
spitting.
don't
Okay.
typically see that in a blockbuster.
Yeah, unless it's disobedience. Did you ever see that with Rachel
I mean,
McAdams?
we didn't even see that in Baby Girl, so
Well, listen, any sexuality in Sinners is way tamer than Baby Girl, no
really,
doubt.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I
I'll lower
thought
my
so.
expectations.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But you can come back to me and be like, no, you had that dead wrong. Um,
I trust you. I believe you.
yeah. So I totally had something else that I wanted to hit you with, but that's all right.
Sorry if
We're
I took you off track there.
That's okay. We hit Sinners. So far this year, if you want to do an early check in on my top 10 list, Sinners and One of Them Days are the only two movies on the list so far.
Yeah, I've only been. I think Clown in the Cornfield is the only movie that I've gone to in like I don't even remember the last time I went to the movies. Sucks.
Well, it's okay. It's not going anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
whenever you get a
Actually, I
moment to.
went to Walmart specifically today to try to find Mickey 17 because I think the Blu-ray's out now
Yeah,
and wasn't there. I don't know if you ever go to Walmart or anywhere else to try to buy physical media
I
like in
I haven't stepped foot in a Walmart in a
yeah.
long time.
I mean, the only reason I ever do is to look for Blu-rays.
Yeah,
But
the only store I normally go to for movies anymore is I hit Barnes and Noble.
yeah.
That's really
I,
it.
Yeah, I mean they're awesome though because they at least have all the criterions, and mine has like a decent section of Arrow Video, and
Yeah.
they have a ton of Kino Lorber, but I kind of wish they would put them in their own section. My
Right.
store,
They're like
they're
mixed
just
in,
mixed
right?
in with everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, same for me. We actually had some Barnes and Nobles in the Pittsburgh area that got rid of their movie sections altogether, but the
Yeah,
one closest to me still has their movie section, and not even just Criterion and Arrow, but the last time I was there, they had a whole A24 like
mhm.
display that had a bunch of the
Yeah.
A24 that was pretty cool.
Mine just started doing that. It's very small, but they put it right next to
Hmm.
the criterions where they have all the
Yeah. Okay.
barcode ones
Same
and
here.
all
All
those
right.
special edition book releases or
Okay.
whatever.
Well, not a unique experience at my own then.
Yeah.
I have a random show for you today and a question for you alongside of it.
Okay.
Because I was like not feeling super great, I wanted to find something that was like comfort viewing for me, and I
Mm.
went into my basement and found a season of a show on DVD that I bought, I think from Best Buy. There was this period of time, like pre-streaming, where in like Blu-ray was out, but they were pretty much just doing movies, and a lot of shows were getting like DVD releases. You remember? I mean, like probably like
Mhm.
2005, 2006, 2007, like that
Yeah.
era where I'd go to Best Buy and like there was a ton of like Freaks and Geeks, all that stuff was getting like DVD releases, and you would just see that stuff like sitting out. And I feel like that era ended like as soon as streaming became a thing, where people were like, okay, well now I can just watch a whole series on Netflix or whatever. Um, but I at that time period picked up season 2 of The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Um, I don't have season 1, and I believe there's a season 3 as well. But Pete and Pete was a show that like I didn't really like when it was in syndication on Nickelodeon when I was a kid. I don't know, I just like couldn't get it or whatever. But then like getting older and looking back on it, I was like, oh, that was kind of a cool show. It was like weird, but it's like all of these things that are very normal slice of life, but through the eyes of kids. So it like makes everything seem like these like grandiose adventures.
Hmm.
Um, and I watched a bunch of the episodes, and it really did like. There's very few things that can like actually bring me back to like my youth anymore. I'm just old and disconnected and cynical, but it it did make me feel that kind of like youthful comfort viewing, and
Hmm.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I was going to ask you, um, is there anything for you that it like immediately comes to mind for like something that is just like comfort viewing? Like you're just like, oh, I'm not feeling super great, and I just want to, I don't know, yeah, just find something that makes me
Yeah.
feel young and happy in that like fun, nostalgic way.
Dude, you're gonna laugh at me.
Is it the season 3 of Venture Bros?
No, I don't really have any TV shows like this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I feel like even from a young age I was not really a big like TV guy, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but my comfort watch is always Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not gonna laugh at you because that was my like number one stay home sick from school and watch movie. The
And
first Mortal
Ninja
Kombat.
Turtles as well. But both
Yeah,
of
same
those.
here.
And I can
Yeah,
still watch them now and like not even in an ironic way. I just absolutely love those movies.
I'm totally with you on Ninja Turtles. I haven't watched Mortal Kombat in a long time, but I definitely have a Blu-ray
Yeah,
copy of Ninja Turtles just in the other room over.
yeah,
Watched that a ton of times. Mortal Kombat, I had like a VHS. It may have been a taped off TV
yeah,
VHS even, and I would stay home sick from school and
yeah,
fake being sick and stay home and watch Mortal Kombat, and that was
yeah.
quite a good experience for me. So yes, I'm not
I,
making fun of you. You and I are brothers in that regard.
I mean, I go as far as to like I can't remember if it was last weekend or 2 weekends ago. I posted about it on Instagram. Like I made a story about it.
Oh yeah.
But I was literally watching it on VHS on my tube TV back there because that's how I get the most nostalgic feelings is
Yep.
like watching it on VHS on the shitty old TV.
I was getting a little bit of it from you posting like the Ninja Turtles like video game.
Hmm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think, right? No, it was a while back, I think that
Yeah.
you did. Was
Yeah.
it Turtles in Time or was it a different one?
That was Turtles in Time. That was like one of my first posts I did when I started making YouTube videos
Yeah.
and started the Instagram account.
And then
Um,
recently it was Zombies Ate My Neighbors, right?
yeah, yeah.
Which was
Well,
just
those are
such a
like
classic
top
game.
tier Super
Yeah.
Nintendo games.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Do you have a Super Nintendo or do you just have some like
no, I do.
emulator
I
type
have a
thing on?
legit one. Yeah,
Oh, fun. Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. I do miss some of those old video games. It's been a long time for me.
yeah. I feel like it was maybe like a little bit before COVID when the thing that started all that for me was I was working at the TV station and I saw an old tube TV just sitting in the back. There was like an engineering room where they would like fix the cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just asked the head engineer. I was like, "Hey, can I like have that?" And he was like, "Yeah, dude, we're just gonna throw it away or whatever."
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
it's funny because he had actually cut the power cable for it, and he helped me like solder it back together so that I
Oh,
could actually
wow.
use it. And now I have like four tube TVs just in case like the one that I use now
That's
dies.
amazing. Um, so weirdly enough, last thing for me before we get into the show, but I was actually like only a couple hours from you, like 3 weeks ago. I was in Minnesota, but so close to the Wisconsin border that I could in the morning. I was in Stillwater, Minnesota, and I would
Hmm.
like in the morning I would go for little walks, and there was a bridge, just a walking bridge that you could walk across, and when you walked across the walking bridge, you were in Wisconsin.
Hmm.
And in true Wisconsin nature, there was this wooden sign that said Wisconsin welcomes you, but over top of welcome, someone had spray painted Fox. So I don't know. It made me think of you.
That's awesome.
So and actually, I'm gonna be near you again next weekend because I'm gonna be in Chicago as Lindsay and I are going to the Beyonce Cowboy Carter tour
Oh,
there.
that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
I'll say hi from the same time zone as you.
Yeah, I'm happy for you guys. That'll be fun.
Yes, it will. I've got a pretty fun outfit for it, so I'll send you a pic.
Okay. All right. I feel
Um,
like this is like our longest intro, like
well,
what
it's
we've
been a
been up
while. We had to get
to.
caught up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we can get into it.
Okay, it's that time to talk about our blind buys or in the shrink wrap movies that have been sitting on our shelves that we just haven't opened and haven't watched yet. And I'm just gonna go first, Matt, because I'm the boss. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that's fair.
Uh, so I decided to do Hellraiser, or I decided to talk about Hellraiser, even though I watched these movies
Oh
like
yeah.
3 weeks ago now.
Well, that is a sweet box set. That's a sweet cover.
This is probably the coolest artwork I think Arrow has
Yeah.
ever done. This is the Quartet of Torment, I think it's called. And they have, dude, this have you looked at this
Yeah.
like out of the box? It's so cool. There's like
No, that's
these
awesome.
like Pinhead's face is all like cut out, and it's like there's this clear sleeve that goes over the digipack, and
Yeah.
then even underneath that, you
Oh
pull
wow,
that
that
off,
is
and then it's
cool.
like a
Yeah.
skull. It's like 3 layers of
Yeah,
transparency.
that's awesome.
Um, but
So,
yeah,
you recently got a region free Blu-ray player or
I did,
4K?
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. How did you get
But
that?
that wasn't necessary for these though, because these are 4Ks, so
Yeah.
which are region free. But what'd you ask? How did I go about doing
Yeah,
that?
because I feel like I need one.
I just went on Amazon. You can just search them on Amazon.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I feel like I need to get one because I thought about ordering. I think Second Sight did a House of the Devil release, which is a movie that I really like, but I think it was Region B, and I was like, well, I'm not going to buy it. So I ended up in one of the other orders that I got getting a different version of it that was like a scaled down version that
yeah,
was an American Blu-ray or whatever. So I have that coming, but I definitely would have bought the Second Sight one because it
yeah.
looked really sweet, and I do love that movie, or at least think pretty highly of it. So I don't know. I think I do just need to break down and actually buy a region free player. And I talked about it on the show that I need to upgrade my 4K player situation anyway because
Yeah.
I have too many of them skip when I'm watching them. So
Well,
um,
I just went with a Blu-ray player. You can get ones that will do 4K and Blu-ray
yeah,
that will be region free for the Blu-rays and DVDs.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
but like we said, like 4Ks are already region free.
that true,
Um,
true. But
but I'm pretty excited. I already ordered a couple a couple like older Arrow.
yeah,
Like I ordered Motel Hell, which is like an
oh,
Arrow
I,
release.
I I want
Um,
that too. I've never seen it, but it's I mean, the title alone,
yeah.
it's like you're just like I need to own this
Yeah,
Motel Hell. I
that was a
sometimes it's
blind buy
just
for me. I haven't seen it either. But
all
the
right.
Arrow,
Yeah.
there's like a Scream Factory that's not region locked or whatever, but the cover that Arrow put out looks so sick, so I wanted that.
All right. Well, that's
But
on my wish list too.
yeah. Well,
All
should we
right, let's
talk
get
about
into
Hellraiser for like
Hellraiser.
a minute or two at least?
Yeah.
So I don't know what your history is with this, but the first time I ever watched this, I'm pretty sure was when I got this DVD. I think this was in high school, but I don't think that we watched this together. I don't know if
No.
this was one of the like, late night Walmart runs, but
Uh-uh.
as you can see, I
Uh,
still have the Walmart sticker on there.
yeah. Although that is actually a cool cover for a DVD too.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's like
Yeah.
it's got the cube thing on there.
Because like when you go back with the DVD stuff, not a lot of they weren't getting crazy with the artwork back then in most cases. Sometimes like a
Yeah.
special release.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that looks pretty cool. I did have one like moment at a friend of ours' house actually where like drunkenly somebody put Hellraiser on, and it was like, you know how when you're drinking and you watch a horror movie and it just seems so stupid because you can't like
Mhm.
feel anything? Like that was like my initial
Yeah.
experience with it. But I really got into it doing it for my other show, and
Yeah.
I love the first one.
Oh yeah.
I haven't dove into the other ones, but
Yeah.
um, my memory of as a kid though, and I'm sure you have this too. I mean, the picture of Pinhead on like a VHS cover sitting out at video rental stores. I mean,
Absolutely terrifying.
haunted me as a child. Like
Yeah.
I would go in every weekend and like walk, like almost have to hide my eyes
Yeah.
from that cover as I like ran past it to get,
Mhm.
Ewok Adventures, Caravan of Courage for the millionth time.
It's funny. It's funny too because Pinhead. So I
Yeah.
rewatched the first two for this, and then I went ahead and finished the box set and watched three and four. It's funny because Pinhead and the Cenobites are really not even the villains until like the third movie.
Yeah. I,
Like the first two, it's just Julia and Frank.
they only
The,
show up at the end of the first one, right?
yeah, yeah. And it's like Pinhead is scary and stuff when he shows up, but I feel like what's scary about this, and I guess when I said earlier that like there's not a lot of movies that actually scare me that are horror movies. The first
Yeah.
time I watched this and actually like watched it by myself, I actually did get a little bit freaked out,
Well,
and it
I
was more of
think,
like a psychological thing for
yeah.
me because it's not really they're not really that menacing. Like Pinhead is almost like it's almost like he's just there to like appease Frank's like what do you call it, hedonism or whatever,
Yeah.
where he's like it's like he wants to experience this like crazy amount of pleasure or something,
Yeah.
right? And he
Frank's like
thinks
this.
like he's gone into this thing where it's like he needs to experience pain to
Uh-huh.
have pleasure, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. He's like this masochistic sex freak.
Yeah,
Frank.
dude, it's weird. And it starts out like gremlin-y kind of like with the guy
Yeah.
giving him the box and
Well, yeah, it does. And Frank is like you just get the shots of this guy's like I don't know if he's nude or shirtless or what, like sitting in like a
mhm.
circle of candles, like doing some seance, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah. So
Um,
that whole part scared me to begin with because like
yeah,
freaky sex stuff like that is kind of weird to me, I guess. I'm not that kinky. I don't know. But the just the idea of somebody who enjoys being hurt, it kind of freaks me out. It's kind of like the
oh,
same
same.
reason why Videodrome kind of freaks me out because like
Yeah,
that chick is really into getting whipped and stuff.
yeah, I would be overwhelmed pretty quick.
Yeah. Um,
But it is like such a interesting story. The first Hellraiser, I do think is a great movie that I think it gets associated with just like Pinhead as being the villain, but as you hit on, it is such a small piece of the movie that's almost
mhm.
barely related. Um, but it does have so much to speak to on its own merit. Like
I ki
forget the Cenobites.
I kind of hate this term, but I feel like it really was like elevated horror before that was even a thing,
Yeah, that's
really.
fair. I mean, because a lot of it is just like the psychological impact of what is to um the main guy what he's finding out like
Hmm.
as the story unravels, it's like mind blowing for him.
Yeah, yeah. And just the idea of like how you don't really even see the I guess you do see a lot of gore like at the end of the movie, I guess, and Frank obviously looks nasty as he's like regenerating.
Yeah, right. But I
But the
think
scary
those
stuff,
effects look cool, right?
yeah,
Like
the effects
yeah.
are awesome, yeah. But I guess what I was trying to get at was like the
Mhm.
scary part for me, aside from the weird kinky sex stuff, is how Pinhead is like describing all this stuff, where he's like, "We're gonna like your pain will be legendary even in hell." Like
Oh
how
yeah.
it's just like it's like I think part of it too for me is the fact that my parents made me go to church when I was a kid up until a certain point.
Horrifying.
So like the idea of if this is what hell is like, where you get Pinhead and Butterball
Yeah.
or whatever that guy's
Well,
name
it's like
is,
I know you're just
coming
like,
and torturing you every day, like I'm like this actually is scary if you think about
oh,
it. But
is everyone in hell just into BDSM?
yeah, yeah,
No, I know. Well, they have the whole thing where it's like, I don't know. I have a memory of, hooks and nipples and they're being ripped apart, like, and that's part of the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
That's probably not exactly how it happens in the movie, but they definitely are
Yeah.
showing like chains, right? And
Oh yeah.
like flesh being ripped apart.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into the second movie. So, the second movie starts off with like that image of Frank saying something like Jesus wept with like
Oh wow. Yeah.
all the hooks and stuff in his face, and then his head explodes.
Oh, my favorite expression. Jesus wept.
And so the last time I had watched Hellraiser 2 was a couple years ago, and I think
Mhm.
you're the only one who will think this is funny, but I was watching it with Travis.
Yeah.
We were watching it in my basement, and it was like the morning after. It was like a Saturday after me and him had just been up all night drinking and watching Kill Switch Engage videos, and and we were like, I think I just put it on at like 8 or 9 in the morning, and we're like slightly hungover and hungry, and then by the end of the movie, 2 gets real gross, dude.
I'm sure.
We went to McDonald's after watching it, and both of us just kind of like sat there with our food, and we're like, you know what? I'm not actually hungry. 2
Yeah.
gets real goopy, but 2 is pretty fun because they actually go to hell. Um,
Okay. Sounds fun.
and it does pick up pretty much right after, if I'm remembering correctly, it picks up right after the end of the first one. And you're
Yeah.
following Christy, the girl who's the daughter of the guy who was getting cucked in the first one. Um, have you seen 2 in a
Is it the
while?
same
Or
girl that's in the first one?
it is the same girl, and I'm pretty sure it's the same actress too. Like I
Oh
said,
wow.
it was
Okay.
like 3 weeks ago that I rewatched these. But
Yeah. No, I've never seen the second one. So I've only seen the first one and then the one that they did recently for like Hulu over the last like I don't know, 3 years
oh,
ago or something.
what did you think of that one? I really liked it.
I was like solid on it. I thought it was like I was kind of like down the middle on it. I remember in
Hmm.
my letterbox review I wrote too much wheeling and dealing with the Cenobites and somebody commented on it like the first one has something to say about that and I was like, "Well, I get what you're saying because that is like a part of it, the bargaining and you're making deals with them, but I
Hmm.
remember that being like a big thing that like it kept happening in the
Hmm.
Hulu one, like throughout. Like there's several times where like,
Yeah,
well, hold on, let's make a deal. like,
yeah. I think
um,
that's something that happened eventually with these movies. I think Clive Barker was only involved in the first 3.
mhm.
And then after, I think he was probably the one who was more pushing to make it more like, it's based on a book, at least the first one, right? I think
Yeah.
it's like Hellbound
What
Heart or something.
is it? Did he write the book?
I don't know. I don't think he wrote the book
Oh,
actually.
okay.
I should have looked that up. Um,
Well, you can keep going, and I'll look it up to verify, just so we know.
but so I guess what I was getting at is like, I think after like the second one, at least the studio got involved and they realized that Pinhead and the Cenobites were kind of more the draw. Like,
Yeah.
they realized that the fans are like, oh shit, like we want to see more Pinhead, because even in the second one,
Yeah.
he's not like a huge part of the movie. I mean, he's definitely way more so than the first movie,
Hmm.
but the third one, he really becomes the main villain. And I guess
Does
I
he
would
talk?
say,
Is he
huh?
like is he talking a lot in the third one, or is it
Yeah,
more of
in
a
the third one, so the third one actually kind of picks up pretty much right after the end of the second one too, where at the end of the second one you see this like pillar come up, and him and like Butterball and like all of his like main Cenobite dudes got killed by that doctor guy. I don't know if you remember the second
butterball?
one at all, but I think his name's Butterball. He's like the big chunky one with the goggles. Do you know who I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Kinda. Yeah.
I think they call him Butterball or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's also
But
like a nickname
anyways,
people are
it
using about
starts with
me on the
him.
internet.
Sorry, I was talking over you. Go ahead.
Not saying it again. Keep going.
Anyway, so it starts off with with him like stuck in this pillar where he got like, I don't know, he got like stabbed or something into this pillar, and um yeah, basically just him and like the Cenobites end up being like a way bigger part of 3. 3 is like real goofy.
Yeah.
Um, you said you haven't seen 3, right?
No, I've seen the first one and I've seen the Hulu one.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not going to try to describe the whole plot of 3 because it's pretty ridiculous. It's like he's in this pillar and he's trying to get this guy to kill people so he can escape this pillar for like the first part of the movie. And then he escapes and then his character kind of changes too because like I said in the first 2, he's kind of just like at the whim of like whoever summons him with the box, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the third one and the fourth one, I think it's like almost like he's trying to escape hell and like come to Earth and just torture everybody, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
He'd blend right in with that face.
Yeah.
It's like,
But
dude, you've
anyways,
got pins sticking out of your head.
the only real notable thing about the third one for me was they come up with new Cenobites. So like some of his victims end up turning into Cenobites in the third one. And dude, one of them is like a DJ and he has like CDs in his head and he like whips CDs to kill people.
All right, that's fun.
One of them's a camera guy. Who,
Okay, it's
I
you.
like that guy because he was actually like a character in like the beginning of the movie, and then he gets killed and then turned into a Cenobite, and he has like a camera in his for one of his eyes. It's super goofy. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much more time on 3, but yeah, 3 gets like towards the end. There's a really funny shot. I might actually play a clip of it. I know we don't do that on this show much, but
Yeah,
I might
please.
show while I'm talking about it right now. I might show a clip of it because it's hilarious. It looks like an Avengers shot of like the Cenobites walking in a line towards towards a bunch of cops that like have their guns drawn on them, and then the cops just get like destroyed by the Cenobites, if I'm remembering correctly. It turns into like a weird action movie.
All
It's
right.
insane.
Okay, this sounds pretty fun. Actually, I mean, this makes me want to watch 2 and 3.
Dude, it actually is pretty fun, like especially when the new Cenobites come in. Dude, it gets pretty fun.
Although I'll have to remember not to watch 2 for breakfast.
Yeah, 2 is like the goopiest, nastiest one
Oof.
that I can remember.
That's hard for me. Yeah. Maybe I'll just jump straight to 3.
Watch it on like DVD or something so it's like worse quality. You see less goop.
The less clear, the better.
Yeah.
By the way, Clive Barker did write a novella or whatever called
The Hellbound
The
Heart.
Hellbound Heart. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it was.
I thought so, but I didn't want to say for sure.
Yeah. No, it's okay. We verified. Written in 86, and then the first Hellraiser movie came out in 87.
Okay. Well, so that's Hellraiser 3, and quickly Hellraiser 4. They jump the ship and go to space.
Jason X.
Yeah, it's like Jason X, but it's kind of a tease because it starts off with them in space, and then it ends up being so like the whole thing with 4 is, I think the subtitle is Bloodline or Bloodlines. Basically the whole story of that one is so it starts out in space for like you get like 5 minutes of that, and then you find out that this guy built this space station to trap and kill the Cenobites, basically.
Okay.
Because he has this family history. You actually spend more time in the past in this one.
Okay.
So it jumps way back to explain how the box, what do you call it? The puzzle box.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has a specific name or not, but it shows the guy who created the puzzle box and the guy who in the future designed and built this spaceship or space station. He's like his ancestor.
Okay.
So it's like the bloodline of that guy. So like the guy who created the puzzle box feels guilt because he was really just a toy maker, and it ends up his box gets turned into this thing that summons the Cenobites and all that. So it takes place around 3 different time periods. It's like the 1600s or something, way back in the past, whenever the dude like first made the box. And then there's like a time jump, or it might be going back and forth. I can't really remember, but then there's like a section of the movie that takes place in like the 90s,
Okay.
which is a direct sequel to the third one.
All
In a
right.
way. and then you go back to space, and then it turns into like Jason X style. But even though that sounds really dumb,
I don't know.
I
It sounds
I
pretty good to me.
actually still had fun with it. I still liked it.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of ingenuity in the DNA pool for that family. There's guys creating puzzle boxes that call out to hell, and then there's a guy creating spacecrafts.
dude, and I'm gonna look him up real quick. I think the dude's name is Adam Scott.
Well, from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I think that's his name, but I'm just gonna confirm real quick.
Wait, is it the Adam Scott that was on like Party Down?
I think that's what his name is, but I'm not like the biggest TV guy, like I said. So
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
But he plays like a prominent role in this movie.
Well, that could be. I mean, he was an actor for a while before things really took off for him. Is it the Adam Scott? Are you
I'm
finding
trying to
this?
see.
You're
I'm looking
needing to
at the
go on a
cast real
deep
quick.
dive to figure out what's going on in
It is
Hellraiser
Adam
for the
Scott.
game.
He plays
Wow.
he plays a prominent character in this movie.
I guess
And I was
that's
like, oh,
like
it's that guy.
it's like Paul Rudd being in Halloween 6,
Mm-hmm.
which we
Curse of
should
Michael Myers.
we should do
Probably one
that
of the
on the show
worst Halloween
sometime.
movies.
Yeah, it's so rough.
It's terrible.
I know. But it is kind of fun to talk about. Actually,
Yeah.
it would be fun to do like that Halloween trilogy, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Because though they are like a standalone trilogy. 4 and 5 are
Yeah.
like decent, okay. 6 is like horrendous and like horrifically bad.
Yeah.
But it's still tied into the other two.
I would want to throw H2O in there too, just because that might be my number 2 or number 3
yeah.
favorite Halloween movie.
We're gonna do H2O on its own.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
That's
we're gonna
on the
do that for an
schedule.
episode
That's on the schedule.
in
Spoiler.
October. Okay, yeah.
So then where is the Hellraiser that was on Hulu that I saw? Would that technically be 5?
No, dude, there's more Hellraiser
Okay.
movies that I
Yeah,
have
I
never
wasn't sure.
seen.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
at least 3 or 4 other ones that I don't even know. There's one of them
yeah.
is like about the internet or something, like
Oh,
the Cenobites go online.
with these horror franchises, it never ends, which does bring me back to one point that I wanted to bring up in the beginning that I didn't. Before Sinners, there was a trailer for something that like I didn't know was coming out. Which is like anymore. We know so much because of the internet and like like trailers happen on Instagram. Like you just see this stuff. Like it's not like I read Variety. Like I don't actually seek out this stuff a lot of times, but because of the internet and everything at your fingertips all the time, you just have it and you're made aware of it. But like the best feeling in the world is when you see a trailer about something that you had no idea and you're like, oh hell yeah. And that happened for me before Sinners. And it's I know what you did last summer. It's coming back. Do you know this?
I
It's got
haven't seen the trailer. I don't
dude.
think I've watched the trailer for it.
So they started showing the trailer, and I'm like, pretty early on, I'm like, okay, I can tell what this is. It's I know what you did last summer, and I'm thinking it's a reboot or whatever, and they're just starting over, and I'm good. I'm in already. Then Freddie Prinze Jr. in the trailer. Then Jennifer Love Hewitt in the trailer, and I'm like, oh hell yeah! Like I cannot wait. But it's called. This is one thing I don't like. It's called I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I know they did with one of the Scream movies too, like Scream
Yeah.
5 or whatever is just called Scream, and it's like
I hate when they do that.
that's so stupid. Why can't you? I mean, I don't care. Make it something like with a colon and then something stupid after even. I don't care. But like
I mean,
naming it the same
I
thing.
I understand it because I feel like their marketing logic is like, oh, no like kid who's like 20 years old or younger is going to want to go see a number 5 in a series that they haven't seen any.
Well, apparently
You
they
know.
don't know us.
Yeah. They don't count us.
Yeah. But I don't care. Like, don't call it I Know What You Did Last Summer 4. Don't call it I Know What You Did Last Summer, Back to the Cape or where,
Mhm.
like I don't care. But like just something that's not. If you want to call it I Know What You Did Last Summer, then it needs to be a straight reboot, everything starting over, and this is number 1 again. It can't be that. It can't be a continuation and use the same title. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work for me.
Dude, that just made me think of. So I just started. I know we already talked about another podcast already, but have you ever listened to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast about horror movies?
So guess what? I never have until today. I put
Really?
on their episode of Re-Animator just to get a like. I only listened to like 15 minutes of it because I wanted to get maybe a little bit of ideas of possible conversation, but they
Hmm.
started off talking about Reanimator in exactly the same way as I was like writing about it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to like,
We
it's
don't
like,
want some subliminal plagiarism going on.
yeah. I mean, look, I mean, look, you and me are two dudes doing a podcast about movies. There's a million of them out there at this point, and there is like a part of me that's like everybody just says the same shit about the same
Yeah.
movies.
I mean, there's only so many ways you can frickin' butter a piece of
I mean,
bread.
everybody just kind of like views things the same way. Okay, like at some point, AI will just put all these opinions out there.
If
But like,
anybody else talks about Hellraiser 3 and mentions the dude with the camera in his eye, coming for
yeah,
you.
that is the original IP of this
Yeah.
show. But yeah, that is weird that you mentioned that because I did listen to like 15 minutes of their Reanimator episode
Yeah.
today.
I just wanted to bring it up real quick just because you said his name and I was like, I just started listening to their podcast too and I love it. I think he's such a good host. Like,
Okay, yeah. Listen, I like Freddie Prinze. I kind of wish more had happened for him. But I love I Know What You Did Last Summer. Almost maybe in an unhealthy way. Like it's
yeah,
because I don't really think people think it's a good movie. I mean, it was successful and obviously it spawned other movies. But I think the first I Know What You Did Last Summer is great. Like
dude, same. Yeah.
I I think it's like there's a mystery to it. I do think that it works as a kind of scary slasher horror movie. I think the performances are super fun. Ryan Phillippe is like so over the top insane. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously they're all like just crazy high
Dude,
school. Yeah.
the scene where he's working out and then the killer like chases him down with the car,
Uh-huh.
that is one of the most tense, scary, like scenes in a horror movie that I remember from being a kid and watching scary
Same.
movies.
I
Like,
mean, it was just, and part of it is like it is a movie that scared me a lot as a kid.
yeah,
So there's like some carryover from that.
it scared me for sure. Yeah.
But I watch it now and I'm like, this still works. I also like that it's like a 4th of July like horror movie. Like it's another one of these summer horror.
Hmm.
It's always like a good combo. You know,
Yeah.
I love the stuff that's actually like seasonal Halloween fitting, but like there's definitely something to be said for like the summertime, like hot heat
Dude,
horror movies.
I was gonna say that is one that when I do rewatch that, it is usually like in the summertime, like around Fourth
Yeah.
of July,
Yeah.
because it just
Yeah.
feels right. Yeah, it's like Jaws and that.
Yeah, that's the double feature.
Yeah.
Okay, we should probably anything else on Hellraiser?
No, I mean this is gonna be our longest episode probably. So let's get
Yeah,
into
the
yours.
spotlight might be shorter, but we cut a lot of segments too, so it's
That's
just
true.
this
Yeah.
spotlight. So okay, so we're good. We'll do mine real quick. Mine was so yours was a still in shrink wrap, or were any of those had you not seen?
So I thought that I had seen three before, but I definitely when I watched it I was like, no, actually I haven't seen this. So
Okay, so it was a
three and
blind buy.
four were blind buys, and
Yeah,
I hadn't
gotcha.
watched one and two in a couple years. So
So my pick, Keith, is really my go-to reference point for just fun horror movies. Like I would say I want to watch something that's horror but just fun, like X. And what is X? Yes, you're holding it up now, and I also have the same copy as you. We're of course talking about the Vestron collector's series, Chopping Mall. Um,
hell yeah.
yeah, which is weird that you're holding up the Vestron copy because I thought that you had like an Arrow copy or something of this, or a Scream Factory or something.
No, I did watch this back around October time, but I watched it on streaming. I ordered this specifically because I wanted it, and we were talking about it on the show, so I just got this like this week.
I had this memory that I went to Orbit DVD in Asheville, North Carolina, and I bought a bunch of movies there, and I sent you a picture of it. This was like way back, this was like this was like a year ago. It was like last May or June,
Hmm.
and I thought you told me because Chopping Mall was one of them, and I thought you told me in that you did have Chopping Mall, but you had like I don't know, it wasn't the Vestron one, but I guess that's not true.
No, not true.
Maybe it was another. It must have been another movie from that pile, not
It
Chopping
could have
Mall.
been something else, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but Chopping Mall, first of all, what's not to love? You set in a mall. Barbara Crampton is in it, who also in
Hmm.
Reanimator. You get some opening establishing shots all throughout the mall. Immediately you're like, oh, this looks like X mall from my life. And you're like, oh, yeah, it's because like most of these malls were like built by the same people and they look alike. You texted me earlier about this, but it caught my eye as well. You do see famous Los Angeles record store, Licorice Pizza in the mall, which I think was a chain mostly in that area in the 70s, 80s, maybe into the 90s. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's defunct now. But I did know that that's what Paul Thomas Anderson's movie, that's what the title, that's where he got it from, was. But that's cool to see. It's like off the Roger Corman branch. Like, I don't think he wasn't directly involved with the production, but maybe was financing it or something. I read a little bit about it. He oversaw some of the production early on, but was very happy with what they were doing and was good with it. But there's like other movie tie-ins in this movie. I don't know if you caught this, but in the beginning of the movie, while there's still like people at the mall when they're first showing off these robots that are going to do security at the mall, which, by the way, Keith, is it cheaper to have these robots that built to do security in the mall, or just hire security guards? Like, how is that?
Yeah, it seems like these high-tech killer robots that aren't meant to be killer robots would be pretty expensive. It's kind of like a RoboCop situation.
Just didn't really seem that practical.
Yeah.
But
dude, I do have to say, because this was one of the notes I wrote down.
Please.
I love the opening scene of this movie.
Yeah.
Like it because it's like such a goofy, over the top horror comedy that, like, I feel like a lot of times when you're watching these stupid movies, you're like asking yourself all these questions. Immediately, like right off the bat, they're like checking these boxes. They're like, oh, well, this is how this is going to happen. They're like, oh, they talk about the computers up on the roof or whatever. Yeah. Like, they're explaining stuff that's going to be questions that you ask later on. And I was like, yeah, this movie is like genius, actually.
It's a good way of doing it. Yeah. But two of the people in the crowd, I don't know if it's like this bald guy with a beard and his wife that they show briefly. They're characters from another movie that like Criterion put out. I actually watched it on the Criterion channel a few years ago. It's called Eating Raoul.
Okay.
Maybe you'll see the title just as you like look at Criterion's or whatever. But they're characters from that movie.
I have heard of this movie, but I haven't seen it.
But it's wild. They're just in this scene, and I'm sure there's more of a story there as to how this movie is connected to other movies. But
did you notice just because you're talking about this, sorry to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
Did you notice the movie posters in the pizza place where Barbara Crampton works?
Or at least I don't remember them.
So in the pizza place where Barbara Crampton's character works, there's all these posters for like other B movies and stuff in there.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
And when I was just doing like a quick little search on like some of those movies, I saw some of them look really cool. And one of them was actually a movie that was directed by the same guy that directed this, Jim Wynorski.
Oh, okay.
But I looked it up because it looked really cool. It's called The Lost Empire. Next time you watch the movie, look for the posters in the background in the pizza.
Okay, we'll do. Yeah.
Anyways, I looked this up. Dude, this DVD, it never came up. I think there's like a foreign Blu-ray. The DVD sells for like $300.
Oh, wow.
Movie.
Oh, shit.
I was like, I want to watch this because it looks cool, but...
Yeah. Well,
anyway, sorry to throw you off, but...
Oh, no worries. I was going to say that it seems like there's a lot of other in-movie business like references in this movie, so that's probably part of it, too, is that they had these posters for other movies. But this is definitely one that Lindsay likes, too. Like, I'll put on a bunch of random horror movies, and most of them are forgettable, but this was one that like we got 40 minutes into it or whatever the first time, and she was like laughing and having fun with it and like really into it, and was happy when I bought it and happy watching it again. And I will say, if there's a downside to it, it's most of the kills are pretty lame. Like,
dude, I was going to bring up, doesn't somebody get their head blown up? Yes. That one's pretty crazy.
With one notable exception, this blonde girl who just gets her head like blasted off. And it's like, I mean, it's made me audibly laugh, and Lindsay, like both times that we've watched it together.
Dude, that was
Um,
that was something that I thought of when I watched it. I was like, that's kind of a connective thread between most of the movies we watched for this episode is
yeah,
at least one person either gets their head smashed and crushed or exploded in all
yes,
these movies.
a lot of yeah, cerebral injuries. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, you probably understand what Chopping Mall is like very quickly. If it's not from us talking about it right now, go watch the first 5 minutes of the movie and you know what you're getting yourself into.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it's totally worth it. It's like such
Dude,
a
it's
fun
so
time.
funny. The robots, like the design of them is so goofy and they're
Yeah.
just it's hilarious. This movie kind of on this rewatch, I was kind of thinking it almost feels like a Friday the 13th movie but set in a mall
Uh-huh.
because it's like the whole setup is like these I don't know if they're supposed to be teenagers or in their early 20s, but they all look like they're played by actors in their 30s. And
Yeah.
they're all like partying, they're all
Partying
drinking and
after
then
hours at the mall.
it turns into almost like it's not an orgy, but they're all having sex at in different places in this
Yeah.
one furniture store.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Barbara Crampton looks good as she always does, but the brunette girl in this movie is like a stunner.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I was like, wow, she seems like I don't know, like a, and just above the weight class of the other actors in this movie, like including the gentleman as well. But like, I think I looked her up, and I don't think she did like too much else.
yeah. I didn't look that far into the cast,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
she was a
we've
looker.
got Barbara Crampton, so that's all you need. Well,
Uh-huh.
look, there's not much from an analytical standpoint that we need to say about this movie, but if you're not watching Chopping Mall, wake up because
Yeah,
you're missing out.
yeah. I know you touched on this too, but I did just want to note, like, I kind of touched on it too a little bit in the very beginning, talking about how the opening scene is incredible. It like explains all this stuff that you would be asking yourself,
Hmm.
when you're watching it. On this rewatch, for some reason, it really just stood out to me as this movie is so well made. Like
Yeah, yeah,
the
agree.
camera work, like the acting is actually really good. Like I think Barbara Crampton is better in this than she is in Re-Animator.
Wow,
Like
that's saying something because I think she's really good in Re-Animator too. So
that's not saying I think she's bad in
yeah,
Re-Animator.
yeah.
I just think and I think this came out like 2 years after. So like I don't know. I think I feel like to me it just seemed like maybe she had developed really quickly. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, she's good in this. You're right about what you're saying. I mean, all of these movies that we ended up doing, um, there is like an attention to detail and a quality that kind of sets them apart from the run of the mill B movies, which of which there are a million.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you're just like if you're somebody who hasn't watched this movie yet and you are watching a trailer or something, you might think that it falls into that same camp of just like a dumb B movie that's just silly, but it's actually just super well made and it's like acted well and stuff. It's like I don't know. I really like this movie.
It's well, that's the thing. It both can be true. It's both
Yeah.
things. It is super cheesy and funny, but
Yeah.
also super great and well put together.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For
Okay,
sure.
well let's wrap this segment.
All right, Matt. It's time to do our spotlight Re-Animator.
That's right, Keith. As you said, for our inaugural halfway to Halloween episode, we're honoring the 1985 classic film Re-Animator. The first thing that comes to mind for me when thinking about how to describe this iteration of the H.P. Lovecraft short story is a B movie with A quality. Aside from impressive practical effects, the film features a next level score and underappreciated performances from the majority of the cast. Now, there is no shortage of horror movies, particularly from the 80s, that throw a heavy amount of camp into tales of violence and murder, but they often feature a glaringly amateur production. Reanimator stands apart from its peers on that front. While camp is still very much on display, there's a fine tuning to the effort. You may view it as a cheap trick, but the aforementioned score evokes a certain level of prestige with the audience, as it has a striking resemblance to Alfred Hitchcock's seminal classic, Psycho, taking the recognizable melody and adding a less eerie, slightly upbeat twist to it. The actors are also very much bringing it in the production. Barbara Crampton has become known as an all-time scream queen, a term that can bring some negative connotation in terms of craft, and one that Crampton herself has expressed some disdain towards. With good reason, because if you follow closely, she displays some strong acting chops that may even be raising the level of those around her. Jeffrey Combs, whose character Herbert West has reached Ash from Evil Dead levels of prominence in cult horror characters land, also brings it. It's a character that you could easily find laughable, and maybe still do, but it's a respectable silliness he's bringing to the role. Rounding out the cast, we have David Gale, who is perfectly hateable as the villain Dr. Carl Hill. Now, this is normally the part in the intro when I add some personal anecdote, narcissistically making it about me. And I'd love to say that I rented Re-Animator on VHS from Paradise Video as a young lad in Attleboro, Massachusetts, or Blockbuster, or better yet, Videotech. But unfortunately, I do not have a deep history with this movie. It's only come to my attention over the past few years, and I've seen it less than 5 times. But it didn't take many viewings to capture my heart. So, Keith, I know that the 40th anniversary, and I think that you invested in the finer copy than me. If you want to give it a quick flash on the screen.
Yeah, I went with the not the most expensive, but still somewhat expensive, like thick, hard box that came
Chunky
with a book.
box?
Yeah, chunky box.
Yeah.
Some would call it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I
I think
just
it's
got the.
Ignite Films that put this
Yeah.
out. I think they did an awesome job. Like we talk about on this show, I feel like quite a bit how we're not really like big 4K people,
I'm not like
but
married to it, but I do like them.
yeah, I think this is an example of like a really good transfer and upgrade and um I don't know what you call it, restoration. Because I think there is a noticeable difference between this and I actually have the Arrow Blu-ray too, and this just looks really good. Like
Yeah.
visually,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I also got the 4K. I got the regular 4K, no chunky box. But nice slipcover. I think our two have the same cover
Yeah,
art,
it's the
right?
same. It's the same artwork on there.
Yeah.
Um,
But I would agree with you. Had a really good experience with it. I also love just how tight this movie is. Like it moves along so quick. It's almost jarring because the stakes get escalated like very quickly.
yeah.
You only get like a little bit of backstory before things start escalating. Um, was there anything else you wanted to say about the physical release?
No, I think it's a really good release, and it's kind of impressive because Ignite Films has only done 3 releases to my knowledge. Like they do put it's number 3. They put it's like Criterion, they number their spines. And
Oh yeah,
to get Re-Animator as your third thing that you put out, that's pretty
yeah.
impressive.
I see that. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what 1 and 2 are?
One of them is Invaders from Mars, I think,
Okay.
and I don't know what the other one is. Might be like a documentary or something even. I
Oh
don't
wow. Okay.
remember.
Yeah. Well, look, I wasn't super familiar with these guys. I mean, I just knew that. I think maybe you tipped me off that this was coming out, so
Yeah.
I pre-ordered it, and it just came a few weeks ago. But certainly glad it did, and I do feel like this is like we've talked about with the other movies, but this is like a pinnacle in terms of B movies that really transcend a lot of the other B movies in terms of the quality, the work that's gone into it. I really do think that even though there is a goofiness, most of the performances are pretty strong.
hmm No,
Um,
I totally agree. I was super impressed with Bruce Abbott on this rewatch. He's Dan, kind of like
yeah.
he's like the second lead maybe next to Herbert West.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't know who has more lines, but I do kind of think of Dan as actually, even though Herbert West is the famous character, I kind of think of Dan as the lead. The story really centers
Yeah, I
around
guess you
him.
could say he's the lead probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Herbert West is definitely the more famous character, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think both of the older guys are really good too. I mean,
Hmm.
Dr. Hill is a fantastic villain. And
Dude, I
then,
was thinking when I was watching it this time, his name's David Gale.
yeah,
Um, he just looks to me like he belongs in one of the Universal classic monster movies.
yeah. He
Like,
has that
look,
look. He has a very commanding presence too.
yeah, yeah. I thought, yeah, and the guy who plays Barbara Crampton's dad, the dean, also
Mhm.
Dean Halsey,
Yeah,
Robert Sampson. He was really good in it too. All four of or all five of them are awesome for sure.
agree.
Yeah.
Agree. And I mean, we'll get into it as it goes along, but you made the comment about Barbara Crampton's performance in Chopping Mall. I was actually blown away this time because I think in earlier viewings, I was just going along, appreciating what it is, appreciating the practical effects. But Barbara Crampton's performance really stood out to me this time. And I get why she sort of distanced herself from being considered just a scream queen because she kind of feels like I'm more than that, and we put in a lot of work. Like, yes, it's horror movies, but we do put in a lot of work and effort, and we
Yeah.
want people to buy the performances. Even when we're being goofy, we want people to buy the performances. Um,
I feel like it's
y-
hard. It's hard for someone to sell being scared
yeah,
and stuff. And I feel like maybe in the beginning of the movie, there's a couple moments where I don't know if it was the script or what, but it's like a little cheesy. Like specifically
mhm,
the part where um, it's where Herbert West shows up to Dan's house, and it's like Barbara or Megan and Dan had just got done having sex,
yeah,
and Dan puts the sheet over his head, and he's like, they're like playing around with each other,
right,
and she's like, "Stop, stop,
sure,
stop!" Like that part to me seemed a little,
yes.
I don't know, it was
Agree. I
not the best.
agree, and that's fair. But what I'm talking about, what I think is the good stuff, is like where she's actually having like emotional reactions to like what's going on with her
E-
dad.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. Is like the as the movie progresses, I think her performance does become way more believable, and it's
yeah.
really good. Yeah.
All right, so let's go through it a little bit. So we start off in Switzerland, although we're just told that. I mean, we're really just in. We're in a medical room that looks the same as every other medical room that we'll be in in the movie. Um, Dr. Hans Gruber is dead or dying, I guess, when we come across
I
him.
think
Is he
he's
already?
I think he's dead, and Herbert had injected him with the reagent.
Yes, with
Um,
his famous quote of the movie, "I gave him life."
yeah. Dude, interesting fact. I know we're like just starting, but
Sure, let's go.
apparently in the first cut of the movie, I learned this from the some of the special features and watching it with the one of the like five commentaries that comes on this release. Um, but that that opening scene, all that stuff in that first lab or whatever, wasn't in the original cut. I guess maybe they screened the movie. They weren't that clear on it, but either they
Mm,
screened the movie or they were during editing. They realized that they needed like more of like a punch to start the movie with. So it was in the script, but they cut it out because of budget or something. I don't know.
okay.
And then
Yeah.
they decided to put it back in. So I don't know. But I think it's important for it to start like that because you get the whole like eyes bleeding and stuff. Like
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's important for the movie to set the tone like right off the bat with that scene.
That's right. And then we have an opening credit sequence, which is really fun. And you kind of, to me, this gives you the vibe of the movie. This music during
Mhm.
this credit sequence. Of course, there's like a bunch of animation going on, which seem more normal to this era. But
I was gonna
it,
say
it
I just made a video on the movie Slugs,
yeah,
and the opening credits of that movie are very similar. They're using like it looks like hand drawn type stuff, and it's very colorful. I don't know. I just thought it was very similar. I don't know if they ripped that off of
Well,
this
look, I
movie,
mean,
but
credit sequences were certainly way more of a thing during this time period, and doing different things with animation seemed to happen a lot. And that, like, even went on into the 90s.
hmm
And we've been kind of past that for a while now, but
yeah,
always open for someone to show up and give us something like this again.
yeah, for
But it
sure.
definitely like sets the tone, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I have a couple of uh well, maybe it's really just one, but the Herbert West character through maybe the first half of the movie. I think at a certain point it becomes 100% clear that he's somebody that, is on the side of um I guess good. But he's supposed to be on the side that you're rooting for, but I think in the first half of the movie it's a lot less uh clear because he kind of seems shady too.
I think he's one of those characters that the most important thing to him is his work. Like
Yeah.
that comes before all other humans in his life, you know.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit on the Herbert West thing a couple times, but basically, Dan Kane is at this residency hospital in Arkham, Massachusetts. Not sure if that's a real town. I mean, the only Arkham I knew is, the one from
I
Batman.
I think it's fictional.
Yeah. I did live in Massachusetts and I don't remember in Arkham, but um, so they're at this hospital where it's a bunch of like student doctors and you know we already see young, optimistic Dan trying to revive a patient, and this older doctor who's teaching him is like, "No, you got to know when to call it," which is a little, foreshadowing to the end of the movie, basically.
Mhm.
And because Dan refuses to let it be and is continuing to try to resuscitate this deceased patient. Now, I don't exactly remember how this all happens, but Herbert West from the beginning, with after his whole incident in Switzerland, has now ended up at this same residency hospital.
It
And
it's not explained.
okay, not explained.
You
Him,
would think you would think that he would be in prison or something in Switzerland.
I don't. It does seem like he's being apprehended, right?
It seems like they are faulting him for the death of Dr. What's his name, Grubenheimer or
Hans
something.
Gruber.
Hans Gruber, yeah.
Yeah. But he's at the school now, and him and Dan become roommates. Dan lives in this little ranch house. His fiance, played by Barbara Crampton, Megan Halsey, seems to be a frequent guest at his house. Although I think she still lives at home, right? Is that the
Yeah, I think she lives with the dean, who is
right?
also a prominent character in the movie.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah,
So
I think that's part of what's funny about it is like I think Dan wants her to move in, but she won't. So that's like kind of why Herbert even comes into the picture.
I mean, I know he's a young, aspiring doctor, but I feel like pretty nice little house for a young single man.
hmm
But I guess he does need a roommate.
Yeah.
So enter West into the picture, who fills that void and is immediately interested in the place having a basement, which seems like a red flag. And he turns that basement into a little lab, and things really, I feel like things first sort of heat up and take a turn over Dan's cat Rufus, which this is one of the parts, Keith, where the first time I ever saw this, and even now, I mean, are they leaving it? Are they making West act a little dodgy about the cat incident on purpose? Like, are you of the school of thought that West killed the cat?
I I don't think West killed the cat. I believe him when he says that he found the cat dead or whatever. They
Yeah,
talk about he was gonna like leave a note for him, cat dead. Colson.
cat dead.
Yeah.
Details later.
Yeah.
That is one of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but he is particularly dodgy when he's telling this story, right? I mean, this is intentional.
Yeah. I think it's meant to make the viewer ask that question. You
A
know,
little
I think that's the whole point of it being played
leave us a
out the way
little
that it plays
off
out.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I'll tell you, I can't remember how it all played out, but at one point we were supposed to do for the old show this and Pet Cemetery in short succession, and it was like when we watched them both, we were like, oh wait, they're like very close to being the same movie.
Yeah.
Obviously this is a little bit goofier than Pet Cemetery, but a lot of the ideas are the same.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's the idea that they're bringing things back from the dead, but they come back as like a more of a zombified version.
Yeah.
Um,
I do
so
want to say real quick before we move on,
yeah, please.
um, this is my favorite scene in the movie actually.
Yeah.
When they bring the cat back to life like twice, I think it is. When
Yeah.
Dan, I think this is the funniest part in the movie to me, and make your own judgment on my sense of humor based on this.
Okay, go ahead.
But when it's like at the end of it, when he whips the cat against the wall and it just thuds and bounces off the wall, that
Yeah.
to me for some reason is so funny.
Brilliant sound effect usage.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's an entertaining scene, and the cat looks insane.
Yeah.
Like when it's in the freezer, like before it even comes back as the zombie.
So here was a fun thing I learned from the commentary was I'm not sure if they were joking about this or not, but the members of the cast that were talking about this during this moment said that it was a real dead cat.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wasn't sure if they were kidding or not.
It looks like a completely fake puppet to me.
Yeah, it looked pretty fake to me too, but they said that it was real. So I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they were just joking, but
Well, I mean, look, the email that we got from Sugar Free A&W was real, so that cat must have been too. Um, so I guess this is though with the cat, it should be mentioned. This is where we really see Herbert use what do they call it?
the reagent.
Yeah, the reagent. Um, and this is what brings back the cat and sort of, I guess, really kicks off our story. But we notice that the cat is deranged and attacks them, and they have to kill it, just re-kill it just to survive, which
Mhm.
it does seem like, the zombies or the zombified versions of themselves in this movie, they don't follow any typical like zombie rules. You can kill them basically the same way you would kill any normal living thing, right? I mean,
I think so. A
yeah,
blow to the head or something. Yeah.
but beyond that, I mean, we have zombies that get killed with a saw coming through the chest.
Yeah, I don't think they really thought the the rules and logic of this world completely through.
Well, I mean, I just think it's like you can be killed again the same way you could be killed
Yeah.
now.
And you can be brought back multiple times too, which is important.
That is true, but you lose a little bit of it each time,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
But it's this green, almost slime. I mean, it kind of looks like Nickelodeon slime, although it's more liquidy. It's not solid.
Yeah.
But
It
it is
looks
that
so
like,
cool. It's like glowing. It's like a glow stick liquid.
yeah, yeah. It's like the TGRI canisters from,
Secret of the Ooze.
yeah. Which maybe that's what that stuff was,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Toka
that's
and
what we ended
Razor.
up with. Yeah, teenage turtles. But I don't know. Dan is obviously blown away by this. I mean, it is quite a development. I guess in terms of both medicine and science, it's pretty unbelievable to be experiencing something like this. So he does what anyone would do, which is go tell a person of authority, the dean of the school, who also happens to be the father of his fiance. Now, Keith, I would ask myself, is this a good idea? Should I be saying this?
I mean, this is the wrong person to be saying this to, at least.
Yeah. You would have to tell someone. Knowing me, I would probably, not tell the dean of my college. I would probably just tell some random person that I was talking to in a airport bar. But whatever. This is what Dan thinks is a good idea. Clearly, he's misguided, and unsurprisingly, the dean is like, "What are you talking about, you lunatic?" I mean, and he,
Immediately revokes his like whatever status he has, right?
yeah, I mean, and I guess West doesn't go to talk to the dean with Dan, but the dean is like, "I'm throwing you both out of school."
I I was actually a little confused by this part too because this all happens pretty quickly after the whole cat scene.
Everything happens quickly in this movie, Keith.
Yeah,
Like
which
that is
I'm not complaining about,
same.
but you if you look away, you miss little things. I think.
Yeah.
Um, is it that Barbara Crampton's character goes to talk, or is Dan worried that she's gonna go tell him about this because she stumbles upon
Oh,
them
that's
messing with
true.
the cat, right?
It could be, yeah, that could be a factor because she was there for the Rufus incident.
Yeah,
So that could be a factor. Although I was thinking that Dan felt like he needed to, get this information out there because Dan is a
yeah,
believer in this
yeah.
now. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously with what happens after this, but it is sort of, I don't know, he gets himself caught up in this. But West doesn't even, I mean, what like West is not there for this conversation with the dean, right?
No, he's not there. No.
But they both get thrown out of school.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be like, if you did something if you said something to piss off, Vestron, and then they banned both of us from being able to buy their movies.
Yeah. Guilt by
Like,
association.
yeah. Um, so now things are really, you know, kicking into gear because what are you gonna do, Dan? I mean, you've just now ruined your life. Like, I mean, I'm assuming he's already done, I don't know, 4 years of medical school or something, and now he's in his residency years for I don't know how long he's been there. He's got a smoking hot fiance
Hmm.
whose father now thinks that you're crazy,
Yeah.
and your life has just been ruined after one conversation.
Yeah.
So,
You got to think too. It's a little silly that the dean doesn't give him any slack whatsoever,
yeah.
especially especially since he has like a relationship or
Well, that's
Dan has
one
a
thing.
relationship with his daughter. You would think that he'd give him a little leeway, but I guess that would
Yeah.
kind of mess up the flow of the story
Well,
if
one thing that's
not to.
consistent with the characters in this movie is everybody is very reactive and makes very quick decisions.
Yeah, true, true, yes.
People are very decisive and just do something, and like there's instant, ramifications to those things. Um, I guess we did miss a scene where they stop by the dean's house and we meet the villain, uh,
Mhm.
Dr.
Dr. Hill.
Hill. Yeah, who is a bona fide creep.
Oh yeah.
This is like, I guess it's playing with the idea that older men can date much younger women as a viable option, but he is like way her like
Yeah.
elder, and I mean he looks like an old man,
Yeah. I
and
do also think it's funny that the dean seems totally oblivious to this
I know
as well
he's
throughout the
saying
whole
like
movie. He's
creepy
like
things while they're
he
at,
doesn't catch on to the fact that Dr. Hill is like horned up for her. Like,
yeah, I know, and he's so, I mean he lays it on thick too.
yeah.
But that sort of just introduces a little bit of the conflict of the movie, which is, you know, Dan is always has to be like looking over his shoulder because this old ass doctor is pursuing his girlfriend.
Well, he also kind of has power over Dan too because he's one of his professors or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
He's
right.
like above him because he's in
Yeah,
one of his classes, right?
that's right. Yeah, which is actually a hilarious scene too when he's explaining. I don't know. I think he's just explaining normal medical practices. I can't remember exactly what he's going into, but whatever it is pissing Herbert West off.
Yeah.
And he's like just snapping pencils.
Well, they're talking about, I think they're talking about like when the brain dies or something like
Yeah,
that. And
that's
that's the
right.
whole idea of
That's
Herbert's,
right.
that's like his research is trying to
He's showing that
reanimate. Yeah.
yes, you can bring a brain back. But what I was trying to say, and you finished it, but like but except what the dude is explaining is actually real.
Yeah, exact. Yeah.
But like you just have Herbert West just obnoxiously snapping pencils
Hmm.
every time that he
Yeah.
says something that is disagreed with. Um, so anyway, those are just a couple scenes that help build us along on the story. But now these two are on a crazy journey because they've been kicked out of school, and I guess why not go for broke? They have to prove to everyone that the reagent works
Hmm.
because if they do, that will legitimize the claims that Dan was making. So they sneak into the morgue of the hospital, and they have to try to find a specific type of body. The agent only works if it's like, I don't know, pretty recent. What are the stipulations here? That wasn't
I'm
100%
not
clear to me.
exactly remembering what Herbert says, but it's something about the flesh can't be damaged in a certain way or something.
That's
It's like
right.
the fresher the body, the better, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So they find one and reanimate it, and it's a zombie that immediately attacks them and tries to kill them. Like
I
nothing
was
good
thinking
ever.
about this. I was like, they picked the exact wrong, the worst one to reanimate because the dude is jacked.
It's like Tom Hardy and Bronson.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so they get into a whole altercation trying to fight this, reanimated, completely nude zombie, and the dean shows up at the morgue and just has his ass handed to him. It is weird because I wasn't the first time I saw this after what happens to him. I wasn't 100% sure he was dead. I mean, he does get killed in this
I
scene.
I was thinking that too. I mean, first I think he gets the door smashed on him, right?
Yeah, and there are
For-
some pretty loud crunching sound effects that are used when he's under the
Yeah.
door. Um, and then he gets thrown. He does get his like a couple of his fingers bit off,
Yep.
and then he gets thrown against the wall.
Yep. And that was something I was gonna say too. Is the cat gets thrown against the wall, the dean gets thrown against the wall,
It's a
and
signature
then
move.
later on, Doctor Hill's head gets thrown against the wall. It's like there's a lot of stuff getting thrown against the wall, and it's all very funny to me.
That's the death blow. If this were Mortal Kombat, that would be a finishing move.
Yeah.
Um, so Dan, in a matter of what seems like, I don't know, maybe a half hour in real life, but 5 minutes in the movie, has now completely ruined his life.
Yeah.
They're somehow involved in this. Just this reanimating has done nothing good. It's
Like you
now
said,
his
he's
fiance,
probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical school debt.
his
And now
smoking
he's
hot,
sneaking into the morgue.
yeah, and the father of his smoking hot fiance has now been killed, and it's mostly his fault.
Yeah.
Um, Now Herbert West does kill the zombie with one of those like medical saws and puts it through his chest, proving our point of earlier, which is you can just be killed any way that a normal human can be killed once you're in this zombified state.
Yeah. It doesn't make
Um,
fun, but it makes for some fun practical effects.
Absolutely. I guess one thing that's clear about him is he's never gonna learn that this is bad.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like he's generally portrayed as a good character, but he's never gonna learn that this is not a way to go about this stuff because it just never works out. But he's like, well, I know we can reanimate the dean and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not fine. They reanimate him, and he's like completely barbaric and insane. And it is. If there's one thing that actually is kind of haunting to me about this movie, and I know like nothing is because it's like silly, but the quick downfall of the dean going
Yeah.
from like this prominent position and like this kind of well-respected guy to just being like an imprisoned mental patient basically is how he's treated
Uh-huh.
behind like a glass window and then is subsequently lobotomized. You're
Yeah.
like, damn, that was a quick downfall.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Megan doesn't even have any time to like mourn this transformation that her father has gone through either. It's like,
Right. I mean, basically, Dan's relationship with Megan is ruined at this point. Now,
for sure.
it's not the end of those two, but how can she look at him the same, Keith?
Yeah. And I think at the end of this scene, when Dr. Hill comes back in, Dan just curls up into a little ball and he's just like, he's in total shock of like everything that's happened, right? That's what
Yeah,
happens next, right? I think.
yeah, it's a rough scene for Dan. No, nothing is really working out for him. I think having Herbert West as a roommate is the worst thing that's ever happened to him.
And it's funny too, because as Dan is curled up in the fetal position, like just totally in shock of everything that just happened, Herbert is only concerned about like his work having worked, right? he's ex-
Absolutely.
he's
He's
excited because he's like, my green goo brings people back to life. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's like, but does it? It
Yeah,
brings them back to something, but
he,
it's not like what they were before.
he's stoked though, which I think
No,
is
I know.
hilarious.
He never seems to like, I guess it's his inability to really connect with people on a human level is
Hmm.
maybe why he doesn't really notice or care about that part.
Yeah.
Um, he's just celebrating the fact that yes, the green goo works,
Hmm.
or whatever you want to call it. It does something.
Yeah.
um, so Dr. Hill though is like reinvigorated. This is his moment. He can kind of now pretty easily get the dean out of the way, and Dan is kind of in the doghouse.
It's also funny too because like all of a sudden he just becomes like next in command somehow. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I can buy that. I mean, I'm sure, it's all doctors that run
yeah.
this place too. So, I mean, I'm sure there is a ranking, and he was probably a high ranking
Yeah.
one, but he's definitely, yeah, you're right though. He's calling the shots now. And,
But somehow
um,
so somehow he becomes in control of the dean. Like
yeah,
there's no I don't remember like no police show up or anything after all this happens. It's just like
well, I guess because they find, I mean, there's no wrongdoing other than two former students broke into the morgue. There's not really any other known wrongdoing. There's
yeah,
dead bodies that were already dead, and then
true.
they don't know that the dean was dead.
Yeah, yeah.
They just know that he's not right now. There's just something. He's not quite himself, you would say.
Yeah.
His hair completely disheveled.
Mhm. He's in
Can't
a
really.
straight jacket.
Yeah. Well, they put him in a straitjacket. I'm just saying, like, is there a reason that the police would be there? Because
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I guess you're right. There's probably no reason really. Yeah, like you
and
said.
and and Dr. Hill, as the acting doctor, is just taking the dean as his patient at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it makes sense.
He's probably running the school too, so he has a little bit of power there. And there's just nobody contesting with him, and we haven't really met any of these other people, so we don't know who it would be.
Yeah.
Um, but at this point, he does quickly move to be like, well, Meg, honey, if you're lonely, you know, hit me up. New phone, who dis? If you want me to come over and Netflix and chill, let me know. And she's like, well, we got to help my dad. He's like, no, he's fine. He's like, I'll take care of it. Don't you worry. And then as soon as she leaves, they lobotomize him. Okay. Now, here's the thing. It's almost like that should be like a double down on like, oh, this is horrible. But it's hard to actually take it that way because his situation, like the dean's situation was already horrible. Like he wasn't coming back from this.
Yeah.
He's this reanimated zombie dude who seemingly is just a wild man at this point. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna beat people up. He's can't really have a coherent conversation. So it's not like the Dean was coming back from this, but it is supposed to be like another level of irreversibility. The fact that he also gets lobotomized.
Yeah. Well, I think the lobotomy I don't think it's explained that well, but it's Dr. Hill's way of like controlling the other
Yeah.
reanimated people. So he does that, and then somehow by him doing that, he can control them. Like
Okay.
there's that really cool
That's a
shot
good
where you
point.
see him like with the head. This is like later on, but like
Sure. Yeah.
it's like the double-sided glass or something. I don't know. It was a really cool shot, but it's like him kind of commanding him,
Yeah.
telling him what to do. And somehow, you know, later on you find out that he can, by doing this lobotomy procedure, he can kind of control or make the other zombies do what he wants to do somehow. It's not really explained, but
No,
that,
thankfully we
yeah,
have you on this show, Keith, because I didn't quite put that all together. But that makes perfect sense. Now I get it.
yeah.
Somewhere down the list on my notes, I wrote somehow Dr. Hill acquires the ability to control other reanimated corpses. You,
I'm pretty sure it's through the lobotomy
that
thing.
makes
I mean,
sense.
it's
Yeah.
not really explained, or at least if it was, I missed it. Like we said, this movie moves really fast. If you blink, you're gonna miss like a important detail
I
like
know.
this. So
And I still haven't seen it that many times. So it's like,
yeah,
and it's like one of these things where it's like the things I love watching. But there's still probably a lot that I haven't picked up on.
yeah, for sure.
Um, So you're gonna maybe be able to help me with this part because I can't quite remember, but somehow Dr. Hill ends up in uh, Dan and Herbert West's basement, right?
So I think after this all happens in the morgue, Dr. Hill originally didn't believe them that
Mm-hmm.
this was possible. So after seeing this, after seeing the dean in the state that he's in, he's like, "Oh wait, like I think I think that what Herbert West is doing actually works, and he wants to go there to steal his work, I think is what happens." So
Okay.
he goes so
Yeah.
after he messes with the dean and creeps on Megan a little bit more, um
Sure. His MO.
yeah, he goes to Dan's place slash Herbert's place, and at the time, I think Herbert West is the only one there, and he's in the basement doing more. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing more experiments or something, working on his serum or what reagent, and so Dr. Hill meets him in the basement, and he tries to bully him into giving him the serum or something.
And then just
And
pushes him out of the way, or I mean,
yeah,
he
so
starts.
this is where I think he's just kind of trying to learn what it is at the same time of being like, I'm gonna steal this from you, basically.
Mhm.
So Herbert is showing him on the microscope the reagent,
Yes,
and
and then
Herbert backs up,
yeah,
knowing that this is what's happening, and he picks up a shovel and he smacks Dr. Hill in the
yeah.
back of the head with the shovel. He falls over. There's like a little bit of a struggle, and then Herbert cuts his head off with the shovel, basically.
Yeah, just more impulsive decisions
Yeah,
from our dear Mr. West here. Like,
and this is where like the real good gory, goopy stuff starts.
uh-huh.
Like, so Herbert injects Dr. Hill's head with the reagent, bringing it back to life. Or he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do that right away. I think he puts it in the. There's like a part where he puts it in a little pan or something, which is kind of funny because like the head won't stand up at first,
I know.
so
Look,
he has to take the little note needle thing and he sticks the head on the needle and then I think he injects it with the reagent.
some of like the endlessly watchable stuff from this movie is everything that they do with the headless body and the head separately.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just brilliant. Like, and
yeah,
it's all really good. Like, it's funny, it's well done. Like, there's parts where you kind of expect that you're like, oh, this is gonna look cheesy, but it mostly doesn't.
yeah.
I
I
mean, it
mean,
might
you
look
can kind of
cheesy,
tell
like,
if you look close enough, especially with this new 4K where you can see more detail and stuff. You can
yeah,
kind of tell that he's just got this like he's just got this like fake skin thing attached to his neck, and he's under the table or whatever.
Sure, sure. But I still think it looks like pretty good though, don't you?
Dude, yeah, it's pretty,
Yeah.
especially in the pan where there's like it's just like a pool of blood, and
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
the effects look pretty good.
Yeah.
What one funny thing that I learned from the commentary about like this whole part of the movie, um, because obviously he's in this makeup and stuck under the table for like hours on end. The actor that played Dr. Hill, David Gale, was a smoker,
Oh yeah.
and I think it was Jeffrey was saying that he was feeding him cigarettes while he
Okay.
was like stuck in the for like hours on end. He was like stuck under this table. He couldn't move because of all the makeup and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, I want to take a smoke break. So I think it was either Jeffrey or Robert Sampson, the guy who plays Dean Halsey. One of the two was giving him cigarettes, like holding
That's
them
great.
to his mouth, like while he
Yeah.
was in
That
the
would be
makeup.
a great like one of those old like classic behind the scenes photos or something. That would be like
Yeah,
a if they had like a picture of that.
yeah,
Um
yeah. There's the one of Robert Englund in
oh
his
yeah.
full Freddy Krueger makeup, smoking a cigarette. Yeah,
That's fun. Um but here's the thing. Now Dr. Hill, he's kind of lost his charm because he doesn't have a head. So I take it, Keith, that at this point, Dr. Hill has just decided, well, I don't think I'm gonna woo Meg at this point. I think she's beyond my wooing skills. I don't think I'll be seducing her anytime soon. So I'm just gonna take her prisoner.
yeah.
Is that
This
essentially?
this is the only major plot hole I think in the whole movie is so Herbert. I think he just passes out while he's doing his work or whatever, and
I thought the body knocks him out.
maybe it does.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Like we
I
said,
think
this
the
movie moves quick. Maybe I missed that.
Yeah, I think because it's just the head that's in his sight, but then the body comes from behind him and is moving and like knocks
Oh
him
yeah,
out.
you're right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right. You're right. You're right. Um, but still, even with that, it's still
Uh,
kind of a plot hole because why does Dr. Hill not just kill him there? He just leaves.
I don't know. It is weird.
You know?
Unexplained. Um, yeah, that is strange. But now he takes Megan into his custody and takes her back to the hospital, which is where we kind of launch into the really big climactic number of the movie. But it's a long sequence.
One of my favorites, though, it's hilarious seeing his body fumble around because first he goes back to his office or something to get the reagent, or he goes back and he has his body squirt the blood to like
Yeah.
into the pan for him. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens here, but like the best part of it to me is when he's sneaking back into the morgue and he has the it's like the medical dummy head
Yes.
that he sticks on his body.
Yeah, and then it gets knocked off.
Yeah, as he's like scooting into the morgue, we didn't talk about this guy, but the security guard that hangs out
Yeah.
outside of the morgue room is hilarious
Right.
too. That guy's
Right.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ear falls off of the
Yeah.
dummy head as he's scooting in there.
That's right. Yeah, no, that is a funny scene. But anyway, with Meg now detained, uh things get real creepy and not like the horror
Yeah.
movie type of creepy. He's like I
Mhm.
mean, he kind of crosses over into full-blown sexual assault here, right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I feel like the darkest part about this, I mean, it's still played off kind of goofy,
I
but
mean, there's still a guy holding his head.
yeah,
So
yeah,
everything
but
is still silly.
the 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 part that makes this scene like extra dark to me is the fact that it's actually her father who puts her on the table.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's
you
not
caught
great.
that. I mean, like you said, happens quick, but
Yeah.
he's the one
Well,
who
yeah. Her father is in this whole sequence and ends up playing like a pivotal role in it. But yes, that is a whole other level of despair for what's happened to her dad.
yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I know there's some famous stuff here with the like the sexual element and him holding his head and, where that all is going. I wasn't going to go too deep on that. It seemed like it maybe bared
Yeah,
mentioning from the
when I
commentary,
was
but
rewatching this with the commentary on earlier today, this part was a little bit uncomfortable. You could
yeah,
tell. Barbara Crampton was part of the crew. There was like 5 of the crew members or the cast members, and I think Brian Usna was on it too. But you could tell that she was a little bit uncomfortable in while they were doing the commentary in this. Like she was playing it off and joking and being like, she was making jokes saying like, "Oh, this is my mom's favorite part of the movie" and stuff. But I don't, it felt a little uncomfortable to me still. But I mean, it is probably the most famous scene from the movie. Um,
yeah, I think so. I mean, it's certainly memorable. And
yeah,
look, it is weird, but overall, the goofiness of the whole movie, like it maintains its tone.
yeah. I do want to say one thing though. So I think this was just like in one of the special features, or it might have just been something from a video that I saw, like an interview with her or something. But I think something that upsets her sometimes is when people bring this up to her
I'm sure.
at conventions and stuff. People will
Imagine the
bring
creeps, Keith, that show up. It's
this.
I mean,
This is my PSA to anybody who listens to this show. Not many people, but if you listen to this show and you're planning on going to meet Barbara Crampton at a convention, don't bring her a picture, like a printed out picture from this scene of the head giving head, and ask her to sign it, because it's disrespectful and she doesn't think it's funny. Like
yeah, it's
I
not
saw an
funny.
interview somewhere where she was talking about this, and it's not cool to do that. So
Thank you, Keith.
yeah,
Yes. Which, by the way, 2 people on the show, one of us has actually been to a convention where she was
yeah.
there.
Well, I
I
don't
was
think
very
you were
close to her.
asking Barbara Crampton to sign a naked picture of her, right?
No, no. If I was, it would have been from Body Double.
Hmm.
No, I would never do something
Yeah,
like I can't even like. I mean, I couldn't even take a picture with her.
yeah,
Yeah, that's horrible. I don't know why people have like that much confidence to go do something
yeah,
like that, but it's like I don't know. You should probably take a look in the mirror and be like, this is not a good idea.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, you got to think these things through, people. Like, I get
yeah.
it. This is like one of the most memorable moments in the movie, but you got to think like, if you're her, like this would be a very awkward interaction to have with a fan. Like, hey, will you sign this nude photo of me? Like it's yeah.
I don't know what people's deal is. It's bizarre to me what goes on out there. But
What?
look,
Wait. Before we move on, though, one other quick thing that I just wanted to say that I learned
yeah,
also from the commentary was the guy who plays Doctor Hill, David Gale. I think he's actually passed now. I
I,
don't
I
think he's
would
alive
think he
anymore.
looks pretty old in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think he's with us anymore. But apparently, this was just interesting to me. They talked about it in the commentary during this moment too. He I guess he said he felt spiritually bereft during this whole scene,
I bet.
and he, I think his wife was somewhat religious, because
Mm.
apparently at the first screening of the movie, um, or at least the first screening that David Gale and his wife were at, she, I guess she was very upset with seeing this scene, and they got in a fight and didn't come home that night. Apparently,
Well, I can understand why it would, be like a bolt of lightning through your relationship. I
yeah.
mean, it is.
And apparently it was more so before the head going into the crotch region. It was
Mhm.
apparently she was more upset about, because right before that he sticks his tongue in her ear,
Yeah,
and it's very yeah,
I know. I mean, it is. The movie never loses its like silliness. Like it always feels kind of silly, but that part, like the lead up to that, like everything that he does while she's laying there is weird.
yeah,
it's it's not great, but yeah, like it never really takes you out of the movie because the whole thing. I mean, it's a headless man.
yeah. I mean,
It's
it's silly. It's
yeah.
played for a laugh, but I think it's one of those situations where some fans look at it in the wrong way. I think
I'm
maybe
sure.
yeah.
mean, people are idiots.
But anyways, we can
Um,
move on now.
yeah, well, I mean, this is now the big, final set piece of the movie where all of the lobotomized corpses that are under the control of Dr. Hill are going to attack West and Dan as they're there to try to save Megan, right?
Mhm.
So they've swooped in. They're going to try to save the day, but they're under attack, and they are like losing the battle. I'd say. Megan's getting surrounded. It seems like they're gonna be overcome by this group of lobotomized, reanimated corpses. um, but it's really Meg who's able to kind of turn the tide by somehow getting in touch with her dad's inner soul or something, and he is able to remember that it's her and realizes what he's doing, and then I guess he's the best of the undead because he takes on the rest of them,
He's
and
certainly not the biggest one, but yeah.
he disposes of the rest of the reanimated corpses.
It's like dad strength or something takes
Yeah.
over.
So I don't really know. I don't know why like this would work. In this universe where all this stuff happens, I don't know why it would work that she's able to like he's already
Make
been
him snap out of it, yeah.
he's already been killed and reanimated, but then also lobotomized on top of it.
Uh-huh.
But she's able to get there, right? And
Yeah.
he, um, you know, like we said, disposes of all the other villain corpses, and um, I can't remember how they do overcome Dr. Hill as well in the scene.
Yeah, this is kind of cool where Dr. Hill's body so I okay, this is what happens. So
Please.
um the dean as he's snapped out of it, he's at one point he gets a hold of Dr. Hill's head and he crushes it.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And then he throws it against the wall, and then I don't know if that's
The
what
finishing move.
triggers
Yeah.
that might be what triggers like the other reanimated corpses to like kind of fall over or something.
Yeah.
Um
But there's still some because there's still like a fight going on in the hospital.
yeah. Either way, I think they're not really interested in Dan and Megan though, and they kind of just escape.
Yeah.
And Herbert gets grabbed by some weird like tentacles
Oh yeah, that's
come out of Dr. Hill's body
yeah.
and grab him. And you would assume that he dies from this. I think it's supposed to be like his intestines or something come out and grab him.
Right.
And you would assume that Herbert West dies from this, but I don't know if you've watched any of the sequels, but he's in the second movie.
No, I haven't. I knew that he was though. I did know that he was in
Yeah.
at least the second one of this. I thought he was in more than that.
Yeah, I think there's a third one that I haven't
Yeah.
seen beyond Re-Animator. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but
Um, but then we're down to just Dan and Megan out in the kind of corridors of the hospital. But there's still, is it just one of the zombies that's left over still chasing
yeah, I
them?
think there's two other ones that show up. One, he just struggles with Dan, and Dan like overpowers him or something.
Yeah,
And then another one, they're going to get into the elevator to escape, and another one pops around the corner, and this is like the burn victim
that's
one,
right.
and that's the one that this one chokes Megan to death basically.
I
Um,
know. Well, Dan's out kind of fighting. He's fighting the body, and it's just the arm left or something, right? Choking her.
well,
Is that how it is?
he's no so Dan is struggling with the other one, and then I think the burn victim comes in and he just can't get it off of her.
Yeah.
So he goes to
Get the axe.
there's like a fire
Yeah.
axe
Yep.
behind glass. He comes back and hacks the arm off with the axe.
That's right. That's how the arm gets
Um,
separated. Yeah.
but it's like too late.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it feels like he does it pretty quickly. This is another one where I'm like, I'm kind of surprised that she's dead.
Yeah, it seems a little yeah, they didn't emphasize that enough, I don't think.
Oh, she's dead. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Um, and then it's the big kind of moral question of the movie, which is like, should you be bringing these people back? And of
Yeah.
course, Dan has learned no lessons.
Yeah.
He's
Like you
learned no
said,
lessons in this experience.
it kind of circles back in on itself because at the beginning, not the very first scene, but the first
Yeah,
time that you see Dan, he's like trying to resuscitate
that's right.
uh somebody,
Yeah,
and he fails, and then it circles back on itself, and he's trying to resuscitate Megan, and it fails. So he uses the
yeah.
very last thing you see, which I think is really cool.
Uh-huh.
You see him giving the reagent to her, but it the screen kind of fades to black, and all you see is like the green glowy, like the substance or whatever, the reagent.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
But this is, by the way, pretty much the same ending as the first Pet Cemetery movie, like
it's
where
been a
it's
long
like,
time since I've seen
yeah.
that, so I don't even remember how it ends. But
Well, it ends basically like the wife dies, and after all that they've been through, he decides to like bring
oh,
her
does he
back
go
to
and bury her in the pet
Yeah, I
cemetery?
think so. It's yeah, it's something like that. I can't remember specifically, but I feel like it's after everything they've been through, the wife dies, and he ends up doing bringing her back too, and then she's like
Yeah.
zombified and kills him or something. Like, um, yeah. So that's Reanimator. That's the story. It's a wild ride that's always fun and always goofy, but like there is like a true craftsmanship to this movie. Like the practical effects are awesome. The score we didn't talk about too much other than my intro, but yeah, I mean, the first time I ever saw this, I was like, "This is the score from Psycho."
Yeah.
It's very similar to that, and I like not like they were ripping it off. Like it's definitely
Yeah.
like an homage, like
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah.
but it's intentional. It's not like
Uh-huh.
it's not like a Vanilla Ice situation.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's very much meant to be evoking your mind to think about Psycho. It's definitely like an homage to it.
Hmm.
Um but it does sound very similar to it. It's just more like there's a little upbeatness to it
Yeah.
too.
It's like dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, yeah. Um so I don't know. I think that's probably it for Reanimator. Is there anything else you want to say about it?
No, I mean there's definitely stuff that we skipped over, but um yeah, I mean like you said, the only one thing that I did want to mention is just like because I'm a visual person, I always like to
Please.
call
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I know, and the effects in this movie are awesome.
Well, I like to for this one, probably my favorite shot in the whole movie is when and this is also a point where you can really point to Barbara Crampton's acting and say it's like really really good
Yeah, yeah.
is um before she has seen like what's going on in the morgue at the very end of the movie, she's in the hospital and she takes the elevator down, and when she steps out of the elevator, the camera dollies back, but it's like
Oh
very
yeah.
fast,
Uh-huh.
and then she kind of like tiptoes real slowly towards it, and she's like kind of scared and nervous about what she's gonna see. That to me is like the my favorite shot in the movie. I don't know. I guess aside from there's some really cool stuff that happens with her and Dan in the morgue too, like at the very end where there's like smoke coming up and there's a lot of like light rays showing. Like there's some really cool shots in there that looked really good on the new 4K. Um but yeah, there like you said, there's just like a craftsmanship to this movie that I don't think really gets recognized enough. So
It definitely transcends most of its B movie peers, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
But we've now talked about it for 40 minutes, and that's like
Yeah.
half the runtime of the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's not that long of a movie, and it really moves along at a rapid pace. Like it's just one of
Yeah.
those things where things just keep escalating. Like you're like, whoa, okay.
I also think this is a really rewatchable movie too,
I
because
totally agree with that. Yeah.
I just watched it like with no commentary, obviously, like
Yeah.
when I got it a couple days ago, and then I rewatched it today with the
Yeah.
commentary, and at no point was I like, "Oh, come on!" Like I just watched this, like you get that
I know.
feeling sometimes if you try to rewatch a movie that you just watched, like
I'm with you. I feel like I could rewatch this now too.
Yeah, like I wish that we had more time in between like my first viewing of this,
Yeah,
like the new version of it, and like us recording this, so I could have watched it one more time.
that's right. I agree. Well, there's other opportunities, Keith.
Yeah, well, we
That's
have them now,
Re-Animator.
so. All right, let's move on. All right, Matt. So sticking with the halfway to Halloween theme of this episode, I wanted you to watch Trick or Treat. What did you
Yeah.
think of this movie?
Well, at first when I read the title when you sent it to me, I thought this was going to be like the 2007 like Trick or Treat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, right? You
Trick
know the
or
movie
Treat. Yeah,
Trick
that.
or Treat?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just there's like an
It's
asterisk
just
and
an
an R.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay. That's what I thought, and then I was like, wait, no, this is like from the 80s or something, and
yeah.
I actually it was on Amazon, but I had to get a free trial to Screamflix or something. I don't know
Oh,
to watch
really?
it. Yeah, but it's cool. I'm probably gonna subscribe to it for a little bit. There's just more
Okay.
horror movies on there. So, uh, but I was expecting it to be just from the look of the picture, like heavy camp. Like I was thinking, like which I've seen a lot of those horror movies and like, but I was kind of surprised that the production quality was pretty solid.
Yeah,
I guess I just was expecting it to be like cheesy or like shittier. But when I say shittier, like that I would use that word to describe a lot of movies that I like.
yeah.
But like I think you know what I mean. Like you've seen the type, right?
Uh-huh.
But this
Yeah.
this wasn't that. It was nicer than that.
Yeah. No, I think if I was walking through like my used store or like Blockbuster back in the day or something, I would have seen this cover and been like, nah, I'm gonna skip this one, you know?
So it's super fun. The kid wears like he's like a little metal kid in high school. Kind of looks like a cross between you and me in high school. You know, dark
Yeah.
shaggy hair and uh wears cut off sleeve anthrax t-shirts. You know, pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
And,
I was gonna say like this is like if we had actually not been born in the 80s but been born in like the 60s or the 70s and grew up in the 80s, this would
this
have
would
been
be
us
us.
maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So he's like playing records backwards. I can't remember how this all comes to be. There's a dead rock star in the mix who
Mhm.
ends up somehow there's some you know satanic curse that's happening that involves the music and this dead rock star.
Yeah.
don't fully I didn't fully grasp what was going on, but there's like a couple parts in this, and I'm gonna spoil it like we do most things, but I'm just putting that out there right now. There's two parts that had me absolutely losing it, and this like evil undead rock star or whatever it is, um the fact that he can like reach into the TV and
Yeah.
like do damage to people on the TV. The first
I
one,
wrote that I
yeah,
wrote that down too when he's at the main character's name is or his nickname in the movie is Ragman.
yeah,
He's at Ragman's friend's
thanks.
house
Yeah. Well,
and
the
he
first
pulls this
time,
lady out of the TV and she turns into a freaking crispy, I don't know.
the first time it's Ozzy Osbourne playing
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
some reverend or whatever, and he just like
Yeah.
reaches into the TV and like scrapes his face off or something.
Uh-huh.
But then yeah, then the second time it's just some old lady talking on TV. He just reaches in and pulls
Yeah.
her out, and she's just like a
I guess we
complete
should say real quick synopsis if you haven't seen this movie. It's basically just about a teenager he's kind of a loner and he's into metal music and he's bullied by like the preppy normal kids and he idolizes this rock star who's actually from the same town that he grows up in.
hmm
And yeah, I think he works at or he just goes to this radio station a lot. He's buddies with Gene Simmons' character,
right.
who's
Nuke.
dude, gotta say, Gene Simmons was fucking great in this movie,
Gene
right?
Simmons is the man. Yeah.
Dude, he has a small role, but I feel like I don't know if he did much more acting other than this, but he was great in
There's
this.
like a movie where it's like Kiss at like the in the Phantom of the amusement park or something. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've never saw it, but like Eric Burton knows about it, and he's the only
Of
person
course,
I ever
Eric Burton would know about it. Yeah,
he's the only person I ever talked to about it. Like, I saw a clip of it on like a Kiss special on like VH1 like years ago, and I'm like, I gotta see this movie. This is like
Yeah.
25 years ago now or something, and I like still haven't seen this movie. But like Eric Burton thought, I think one day he was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure my dad has that movie or whatever." And then like he looked for it and didn't have it or something, but he's seen it.
Yeah. This is a Burton movie for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this kid is like, I mean, Burton also wears like cut off sleeve Anthrax t-shirts.
Oh yeah, yeah. To this day.
Yeah.
But
Um.
anyway, so he gets this record
Yeah.
that's like one of one or something from Gene Simmons' character, and then he ends up bringing him back. It's like some satanic stuff, like you said, and it's basically like he's at first the kid wants to get revenge for these bullies bullying him, but then the dude that he brings back ends up taking it too far and like murdering them and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like there's some gruesome stuff in it too a little bit. Um, but
Yeah. I
that's
was
like the
trying to think.
gist of the story.
My version of this would be like, I'd be like playing the A Star Is Born like soundtrack like backwards, and Bradley Cooper's coming, just showing
Yeah.
up and like peeing his pants. Like, um, but I will say I did enjoy it, and it was just a different, overall production quality that I was expecting. It actually reminded me of a movie that I picked for me, Zach, and Brian to watch for like a 31 Days of Horror that we did several years ago. I don't know if you've ever seen this. A movie with Edward Furlong in it called Brain Scan. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, I
It,
have the VHS of this, and I started watching it. I haven't seen it all the way through actually.
yeah. Well, it just kind of I feel like it's kind of the same ilk. And that one, he's playing a video game, and he's like,
Yeah.
ends up like killing people. And
Uh
there's
huh.
this weird, kind of demonic guy that's taunting him or whatever in it. But I don't know. I feel like these two movies are brethren in a way.
There
Yeah.
is a similar feeling
Um,
to them. Yeah.
I will say when I did pick Brain Scan, which I have a DVD of, that was a midnight movie for me for real. I watched that
Mhm.
after like late at
Yeah.
night on like Stars in like 1998 or something. That was a real midnight movie experience for me. So I bought it on DVD like years later, picked it for 31 Days of Horror, mocked relentlessly by Brian and Zach. They did not think it was a good pick. They did not think it was fun at all. Like,
Dude, another minor piece of connective tissue between these two movies though.
mhm.
Dude, how much would you have killed to have a bedroom like either of theirs
Yeah,
in the
absolutely. I
two
mean, I
movies?
tried to.
The
Just
the brain scan one is a little nicer, I
yeah,
think, because he's like a rich kid whose like dad is just gone on business all the time, and
right,
I think
right.
I think maybe his mom has passed away or something. But Ragman and Trick or Treat, dude, I love his bedroom. His
I
bedroom's
know.
like my favorite thing about the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, I just think that's part of the thing that gets put into these movies because it's always like a fantasy for people like you and me.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's
like
like
direct.
it's like a attic, and it's almost like a Home Alone situation. It doesn't look
Yeah,
totally finished, but he has
that's right.
like a massive collection of records and probably VHS tapes too,
Yeah.
and just an
Um.
awesome stereo system. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad that you recommended this to me. I did enjoy watching it, and like for those moments with the TV violence, like alone, like
yeah,
that to like that was enough for me.
yeah, dude. For
Um,
for me too, the scene at the dance was awesome
yeah,
too.
that's true. Yeah,
When the I think his name's Sammy or whatever, I don't know, the rock star that comes back,
right.
dude, he just starts like he starts exploding people with like electricity out of his guitar.
Yeah,
there's there's somebody, so like we talked about, it's like this movie takes place on Halloween, but there's not really like a whole lot of Halloween stuff that happens in it
yeah,
aside from this scene of this dance or whatever. Somebody is all the students are like dressed up in like Halloween costumes, but my favorite thing is there's a dude dressed up as Humpty Dumpty sit, sitting
that is
sitting
great.
on
Yeah,
sitting on a balcony somewhere,
that's me.
and the demon whatever, or Sammy, explodes him with electricity, and you watch him explode. You see Humpty Dumpty explode. Oh,
It's
it's
great.
hilarious.
All right. Well, let's do what I was in the mood for slash assigned to you.
Okay,
Because
play
in
Misty for
this,
me.
yeah, Play Misty for me, which is a movie I only watched a couple years ago. I think it's Clint Eastwood's directorial debut. He's also the star of it. I have the Kino Lorber 4K, which they announced or like was said it was coming out, and then it didn't come out for like 2 years. So I waited for like a long time because I was gonna just order the Blu-ray, and I was like, no, I know they're doing a 4K. I'll wait. I'll wait. You know how that happens
I
sometimes.
I think that's a thing with them. That I
Yeah.
think people know or people are annoyed with them for that.
Yeah, but like it happens with I mean Criterion doesn't ever do it after they announce something, but they've been like Criterion's been like rumored to do stuff and they've hinted that they were going to do stuff and then it's like a long time passes
Yeah,
and then they'll
yeah,
do it. But it happens with other people too. But yeah, I do think it is a thing with Kino, but I thought this was like a perfect pick for like a I've been wanting to watch it anyway, but like a Halloween or like a halfway to Halloween, but this is like it all takes place in like Monterey, Big Sur,
yeah.
California, like beautiful summer weather the whole way through. But it's like, I mean, it is a horror movie. Again, this is another one that's like I don't know that there's like a moment of actual scariness in it, like, but
Yeah. Aside from maybe towards the end when Evelyn is like going
yeah.
nuts and slashing Clint Eastwood's character like with a machete or something.
I really like this movie, Keith, and I am interested. What did you? Where were you on it?
Dude, I really liked it too. It kind of reminded me of I don't know what I wrote it down. I can't remember the name of it now though. I'm trying to find it in my notes here. Not hold on. Let me find it. Sorry. Oh, it reminded me of like movies like Fatal Attraction kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely a similar,
Just
vibe
like
into a similar idea anyway.
I feel like there are a lot of bad movies like this, but this is not a bad one, Like
So,
th-
yeah, like forget the story for a second. I mean, this is like my dream life. I mean, not what happened, but it's like, I mean, I'd love to be as tall as Clint Eastwood, have
yeah.
clothes fit me like they do in this movie,
He just has
have a
women throwing themselves at him.
nonstop. Has a job where he's just a radio DJ that
Yeah.
hosts a jazz show like overnight. Is like friends with a bunch of like locals, like a bar
Yeah.
owner. He's just a man about town in
And
Monterey, California, which is a beautiful part of the country. I
hi-
mean, yeah. Go ahead.
his house is awesome. Like
It's
you
what oceanfront property in one of the most expensive areas in the country, and he's a host a radio show that plays jazz for 4 hours a night. Oh,
you
in the middle of the night.
you walk into his house and it's like you're immediately in this like I don't even know what you call it. You walk into the house but you're outside still. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
It's awesome.
It's
And I think this is something that we talk about or you've talked about on your previous show and we've
I'm
kind of
obsessed with it.
joked
Yeah,
about a couple times, but
yeah.
how people have these like beautiful, incredible apartments or homes in like New York or California. And I love how in this one what's the girl's name who he actually cares about? Not Evelyn, I can't remember her name.
Yeah. Is it like Susie or something?
I
Um,
don't know.
I don't
It's
know
the
if I have.
blonde
It's not. I
girl.
don't have. Yeah, I don't have it written on the
I'm
back
gonna
of the.
look it up real quick.
Yeah, because I watched this
She has a unique name,
a couple of weeks ago.
the character.
Yeah. Well, then it's certainly not Susie if it's unique, but
It's
um,
Toby. Toby
Toby.
is
Yeah.
so Toby's the girl that Clint Eastwood actually is like in love with and like really wants to have a relationship with. And she's like an artist or something. Like in it, you get like a quick scene like towards the beginning of the movie showing her working on some sculpture or something.
Yeah.
So like she's an artist, so she's obviously not like making a ton of money, but she
Right.
has this amazing like cliffside
I
awesome
know.
house. And it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, how did she get this place?
It's one of
But
the
they
most
explain it.
infuriating
They
things.
they explain it. They
Well,
say that her dad left it to her, And this ends up being a big plot point in the movie, which I loved, by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
where she needs to have a roommate.
You're right.
And there's like two moments in the movie where her roommate changes, which makes no sense.
I
But
know.
both times I was like, it's gonna be Evelyn. I was like, they're gonna make Evelyn be her roommate, and
Yeah,
it's gonna come back. I called it, dude.
you had it. Yeah. But I just love, like, I love all of the, world building of this movie because it's just so the
Yeah,
world I want to live in. Like, Lindsay and I ran one of the, like, probably the most memorable, cool things from my life was we ran like a half marathon, or it was really like 11 miles in Big Sur. And it was like one of the coolest, like, runs I've ever done. It was just so serene and like, it's just such a beautiful part of the country, and you see that all in this movie. Um, I will say, if you want to talk about true horror, while there may not be that many like pound for pound scary moments in the movie, what is absolutely horrifying to me is when he's at lunch with that older woman, and Evelyn shows up and just makes a complete scene. Like,
dude.
I would
Yeah,
not be able to live with myself if that happened to me.
the cringe factor for sure.
Oh,
And then when he comes back and the lady who he was interviewing with for another job, she's just gone.
yeah, it's brutal.
Mortifying.
Yeah, I know, totally with you.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
was gonna
I
say though, real quick, it reminds me of like just like the whole feeling of like the setting and all that. Reminded me a little bit of American Gigolo. We haven't
yeah,
talked about that on the
for
show
sure,
yet, but we're planning on a Richard Gere thing, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
buckle up.
I just rewatched that movie. I don't know, a couple weeks ago,
American
and
Gigolo is great.
similar vibe. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to just be a cool. I mean, Clint Eastwood was one of these guys in the '70s. Watch like movies with Jeff Bridges in the '70s, and you're just like, man, I wish clothes fit me that good. Like, just
yeah.
these studs.
Dude, the first the first note that I wrote down is like Clint Eastwood. Uh, in this is what I was thinking. Like in real life, I kind of like don't like him just because of like how political he is and how I
Sure,
like
sure. Yeah,
disagree with his political stances.
yeah.
But you can't deny that he's like a cool motherfucker.
Well, certainly during this era,
Yeah.
no doubt. And I'd like. I know there's a part of me now as an older person, I like recognize I probably wouldn't want to be a DJ that worked overnight. Like,
Well, not
like
now. Now DJs
right,
don't make shit, but back in the '70s, he was.
y- a
It's
cool
actually
dude.
believable back then that he could afford like that super nice place.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm still a little I'm still a little incredulous about it, but I even mean the hours. Like the idea of me,
Oh
like, I guess we're doing a version of it right now because it's 1 in the morning my time.
yeah.
So this is the late night show, Keith, and you know, here to play us off is Ella Fitzgerald with her version of Misty. Um, but so we are doing a version of it, but I can't imagine like living that life where I worked like a late night shift like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if a job came along where I could be a radio show host that played jazz music, even if it was overnight and I could do nothing else, yeah, I guess maybe I would do that. Still, I mean, it's
Dude, I
this,
mean
and
that's like one of your favorite things to do. I feel like when
yeah,
there's people around, like
that's
you
true.
love making a playlist.
Oh, I do love a playlist. Gosh, do I love a playlist? Well,
That was a big deal at your wedding, I remember.
oh yeah. So it's this job. It's a big deal for me every day. So it's this job, and then also the mom in the movie The Fog, who does a radio show out of a lighthouse. I'm like, hell yeah,
Oh yeah, Adrian Barbeau. Yeah.
yeah. So that's it. Those are my two dream character jobs.
Uh-huh.
Clint Eastwood in Play Misty for me, and Adrian Barbeau in The Fog. If it could be
Uh-huh.
one of those two, I'd listen. You would find me. No complaints in life, Keith.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you like this, though. This is probably going to be like a once a year watch for me, just because I love the vibe of it.
Yeah.
That's although obviously like the cover, there's like this like straight Halloween vibes.
It does have that feeling to it, yeah.
Yeah.
I almost bought this, but it wasn't gonna get here in time,
Yeah.
so
Well,
I don't
maybe
know.
someday for a sale or something if you liked it enough.
Yeah, I just watched it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Um,
It's on
but
streaming a lot. That's where I first watched it streaming on Netflix, and then,
yeah,
like I said, went on this just torturous run of waiting for the 4K to finally come out. So,
yeah,
um, all right, Keith. Well, this is probably good, right? Should you bring us
yeah.
home?
I know we say this like every episode, but this is probably our longest episode.
Well, once you go in with a scalpel and cut it all out, then
Yeah,
it ends up being
we did.
okay.
We cut a segment, but we still ended up talking about the same amount of movies, I think, because I talked about 4 Hellraiser movies.
I know. Well, I was actually going to ask you because I originally was going to have you do margin call, and we didn't talk about it at all. But I was just
Oh,
curious.
I
Like,
did
gi-
watch that
give me
though.
30 seconds on margin call.
30 seconds on it.
Yeah.
The first thing that pops into my mind is it felt very real because there was like no music in it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of glad that you or that we decided
Yeah.
to kind of pivot because
Well, it's not.
that's like a kind of depressing movie to
It
me. It
is. Well,
was.
especially like the end. Like it's. I mean, it makes you depressed about humanity for sure.
Yeah.
And just like gross
And
capitalist
and
behavior.
also the fact that like the youngest character in that movie who like the lowest level was like, "Oh, I made like $250,000 this year or something."
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, "I don't make nowhere near
Yeah.
that amount."
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like,
No, I know it's wild, and it's like, well, and there's the one guy in the movie who's I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but like I think it's the Paul Bettany character or whatever. He's in it, right?
I think so.
It's like Kevin Spacey's right hand man.
Yeah.
I can't remember who plays him. I thought it was Paul Bettany, but I can't remember. But he says something like, "I made over $1 million last year, but I have like no money to show for it." Like
Yeah.
he's like, "I spent it all on blow and hookers or whatever." Like it's
That's
just
yeah, I can't think of his name, but he's the guy who plays Vision in the
yeah. Okay, that's
Marvel
Paul Bettany.
movies.
That is Paul Bettany.
That is Paul Bettany. That's his
Yeah.
name. Okay, yeah.
Um, But so look, it's not a movie that I love or anything, but I do think it's well made and sort of underseen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's why
I did like it. It
yeah.
was just a bummer kind
It
of.
is right, right. Well, same thing. I mean, I feel the same way about which is it's kind of a related movie, even though the tone's different. But The Big
Yeah.
Short, like really bums me out. Even though there's like a lot of comedy in it, that
All those all
yeah,
those movies that are like about the financial just world in general.
crisis. Yeah,
To me, like I don't understand that stuff. Like you
yeah,
probably understand it a little better because you work in like business kind of.
yeah.
But to me, I don't even understand like the basic terms of that stuff. Like I just learned what my 401k was probably like a couple years ago. You know?
You got
But
to put
like
that in the preview.
but but like it's kind of depressing to me that I don't know, all those movies are just a little bit depressing to me because all the characters just seem like vultures
Yes, I know
and
it's
like
horrible. Yeah,
there's no likable characters really for
yeah,
me at least. I don't know. Like
yeah. No, and at the end of Margin Calls, basically they're like they're gonna screw over all their clients, and they're
yeah.
basically like we're never gonna be able to work again, but we're gonna make so much money off this one
Yeah.
that we won't have to, and that's like how the
Yeah.
movie ends.
I
You're
did,
like,
I take it back though. So I guess Kevin Spacey's character was a little bit redeemable because he felt like he didn't want to do that. Like
yeah,
he didn't want to sell the stocks knowing that it wasn't worth anything.
right. Yeah,
So I guess his character was like the most noble one, and the younger ones, the
yeah,
dude who found out about
yeah.
the whole thing that
What's
was
his face?
happening.
Spock from J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Yeah, yeah.
His
So I
name's
guess
escaping right now.
that was
Yeah.
probably a little harsh to say that they're all vultures, but
No, but there is a lot of that. I mean, there is a lot of it in the movie, and it is kind of what the movie's about. And
yeah,
like I said, it's not. I wasn't recommending it. Like I think you're gonna love it, but I felt like it could tie into Up in the Air, but also I do feel like it is a well made movie that I don't feel like is
yeah.
one that's often talked about or even maybe has been seen by
I
the
I
masses.
hadn't heard anybody bring that movie up
Yeah,
ever, I don't think. So,
yeah,
but I
okay,
did enjoy it, and I you're right. It would have fit with Up in the Air.
But that's why we pivoted and did fun movies instead.
Yeah.
So, all right, Keith, bring us home, will you?
All right. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching or listening. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks again. Well, we'll see you in the next one.
Do it for Pizza and Go.
Return to VIDEOTECH.